You can tell this morning we're not from the barn. Let me just check my footage here. A major problem. I was just at my daughter's basketball game. So we might as well find out. What the hell's going on here? Whatever that is, freaking hot as hell. Chimney. Why is that so hot? Okay, well that's not the right spot. That's the chimney. That's why that's so freaking hot. Whew. As you can see, it's pouring through there. I'm dressed for the occasion. Hang on a second. Sorry, I know we're supposed to be live in like 10 minutes. But so Turbo's sitting in his tub right now. No doubt. Should we get Turbo on here? Because he frickin' here, sorry. Can I turn this around? Yeah, I'm gonna bring Turbo on right now, wherever he is. I don't know which one of his burner is going on. I'll invite them both. As I oh, that cool thing. Want to see something fun? That's a few weeks. No need for an even. So this is a 300-room hotel in downtown Calgary. That just where's Turbo? Come on. There we go. I know the barn. It's not quite the barn today. Oh, in the tub.
Watching Bob bust his ass is what I'm doing. Hey, hold on. I gotta get this one back massage spot. Oh. There we go. Hello, Bob. What are you doing?
Come on, brother.
I'm just getting a back massage. I had to do what you were doing yesterday, except shit everywhere. You know, because
you already had it. You called me from a drain call yesterday.
Yeah,
I figured I'd one up you.
You're doing it. Look at that.
And ripped out a ceiling for the gram. Well, it's in the suite above, unfortunately. It'd be awesome. We're trying to fucking get at. Hey, everybody. In Baker Plumbing, we don't let anything stop the show.
I guess I'll get out. My poor neighbors probably don't want to see this. Everybody's seeing it.
Listen, you just...
I don't know.
Hang on a second. It's all coming down now.
Poor neighbors. Or not.
I just lost the lights. Fuck.
Oh, God. Always that way, isn't it? Oh.
You realize that I just lost a bet that from 3 people that said that you wouldn't be naked in the tub. I'm like, no, Turb won't be naked in the tub.
Oh, 100%.
And Turb was...
We'll be banned for probably 6 months because of this.
Oh, Pipe Went just joined. Pipe, Leslie, you just missed it.
There we go.
Put some clothes on, will you?
All right, I'll get some clothes on. I don't know where to put my phone.
So yeah, this is oh my gosh. Did you get one of those back razors? Ow! It's a disaster. You get a sprinkler or water supply? No, it's water supply. Water hot as hell. So this whole ceiling just came down. Okay. We need to get in the suite above. I think there's somebody in it though. No, but it's more than yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's more than that.
It's okay.
It's fine here too. It doesn't get any more raw and real than this, does it? Right.
No, it's called life.
Yeah. Look at I got my ladies cleaning up. You're famous. Ah!
All right, we're gonna get serious. Because Bob's on a call.
Maybe open the window for them to put it on. Yeah, unexpectedly. Okay. That's how it goes. That's what life is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The unexpected journey. Okay. Is it open? This is my good friend Val. Val's the man that breaks everything for me.
I love valves. Fix it. I love valves.
Val is a Colombian drug dealer. Don't say anything bad about Val.
I canceled church for this.
Yeah, that's the chimney. It's super hot though. Like obviously there's a hole in it. Oh, okay. We're gonna have to figure that out. Get it milled? No, when I couldn't even touch my hand on the drywall.
Bob's like, what the hell?
The water is off. All the water's off. How was the hot tub, Roger?
Oh, the hot tub was good. That was a good half an hour.
Oh, no. We need to go to 3. Are we going to 3? Yeah, we're going to 3.
I always love how we're the bearer of bad news when we're like, people come running down to the lobby. They're like,
we're checking.
did you shut the water off? It's like, yeah, I shut the water off.
Yeah, lower levels.
You're famous. I'm sorry. I'm taking your photos without your permission. Yes, the water's off.
And then when we leave, we're like, have a shower on us.
Is the water off? Yeah.
Did you shut the water off to the building? Yeah. Can't fix it.
This is a do not disturb valve. We're going to get in trouble. Oh.
You're taking no. They just called and said you need to access. Oh, yes, sir. We had a major leak. Yeah. It's underneath.
I love it. When's it going to be fixed?
Do it.
When's the water back on?
That's right.
Is this the guy that's fixing it? Why isn't he working? Because you're talking to me. How many times have I said, I'm like, you know what? This will go a lot smoother if you stop talking to me. And faster.
Right?
Yeah. And Bob's like, open it up. I love copper. Anybody want to call us not a reading pipe? Bob is a savage. Bob is sunbathing. All right, I'm probably going to get in shit for saying this, but I feel like a union worker watching Bob work. Hey, I'm like, that's some good work you're doing there, Bob. I'm the safety officer. Did you check for asbestos?
Look at Val's kicking stuff.
Sir, I'm going to process and find out which
Get it done.
you're going to.
Oh, man, there's...
Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no pipe. There's no pipe in the wall where I cut. So I'm going to cut 18 more holes because I would put it this way. But the last guy's like, nah, we're going up to the roof and cutting across the ceiling. You're like, what the fuck was he thinking? And you're like, think of the place with no drywall in it. And he's the first guy in. And he's like, fuck it, I'm going that way. And you're like, why did you decide to do that? No idea.
No, you're just trying to find out where the hell it is. Sorry, sir.
Oh, I know. The investigation. The guy sees you come into the chainsaw.
Okay, I'm going to open the ceiling valve and sweep below. Okay. Like the firewall.
Behind the unit?
Or the best is the bottom of the riser. One valve shuts off 30 sweeps, and you're like, technically under the code it's legal.
Right?
When I go in, I'm like, the contractor saved $100 a unit.
Give me a code.
Because everybody wants their water shut off.
Yeah.
Never.
That's the problem,
And the
right?
first thing every client knows, when's the water going back on? How long? How long is it going to take? And you're like, haven't even seen it yet. Don't know if I have the parts in the truck. You know, it's Sunday morning, right?
It's good. Yeah. Valve good.
And what are we thinking, Bob? It's is it a copper system? Is it not a reamed water line? I'm guessing.
No, it's my favorite CPVC shit.
Are you shitting me? FlowGuard Gold?
No, man. FlowGuard Gold for the win.
Worst shit. That's, you know what? Shark bites, that's why they're made. Right there. For that fucking
I use them
manufacturing
all day long.
Right?
For the yeah.
Guys that bitch about shark bites, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Then work in a building with that. I'm going to show that.
You have to.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, you do. Okay. If we're gonna watch Bob work, I gotta orientate myself properly.
Listen, we were gonna. What are we talking about, Turbo? What do you want to talk about?
Okay. Okay, just let me put my feet up here and get ready. While Bob's slaying himself. So Bob sent me a list of topics to discuss, and you know, I'd look back and I'd say, you know, we're both, what are we, OG? I'm like, because we're old. We're old in the trades.
What is there, Robbie? What is there? There's like, I'm going to say like almost 70 years worth of experience here. No?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy. Way more than that. Because I was industrial steel fitting with my old man working with them, same as you, right? Like, literally, as soon as I could hold a hammer, you're working. You're a pair of hands that can turn a welding machine up. You're a pair of hands that can turn a welding machine down. A piece of steel fitting in your dad's hand, mine, smashes off the side of the welder, and you're like, makes you pay attention. Old school versus new school there, right? So when I look back on life, and I was talking with somebody about this the other day, I thought about, I've got a picture of my great-grandfather. My kids don't know who my parents are almost, so how can they know who my great-grandfather was? Imagine how hard my great-grandfather was on my grandfather, because I heard stories about how my grandfather was with my dad. Look at the transition. Like, literally, they used to get beaten. My dad stood up from the dinner table fast, and we backed up. So that level of respect, now it's evolving in the world. It's evolving in the trades. How we discipline our apprentices. All that stuff. Oh, Bob's killing it. It's all me. You know what Bob's doing? Bob's making money. And if I got a call right now, I'd be like, Bob, I gotta go. Main sewer backed up. Flood. Same shit he's doing.
Yeah, it's tough to make those big valves see. So here's you're famous. You're on TV right now. Do you know that?
Oh, you're gonna do a thing on it?
Yeah.
Good job. Who's your friend?
This is Turbo. He's out in BC, Pemberton, BC.
Oh, I should have stayed in BC. I live in Kamloops here. I've been out here a year. I'm starting to think I'm sorry I made it.
He doesn't
Beautiful place.
Okay, cool. So we're just gonna wait for that tenant to get out of here, and I'm gonna open up this sidewalk like I did here, because that's all wet right there. And so, right above us.
331?
Yeah.
It's just dry up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's obviously leaking from his shower valve or something.
Yeah.
So as soon as he's gone,
I love it.
I'm gonna do this exact same thing. Look at all the work I'm creating for you.
No, it's okay. I won't get to it.
Don't get to it today. He's not going to get to it today.
Rob,
if you show up here, you can't rent this suite today, Rob. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I can. I just have to go to the neighbor's suite to have a shower, which might be a good thing. Just saying.
That's hotel life, right?
Do they have a hot tub there? If they have a hot tub in the hotel, I'm in. I haven't showered since I got my hot tub.
Yeah.
True.
Ukrainian showers? What do you got for me?
Yeah, Ukrainian shower.
Boiler there? Sparked up on me.
Oh, Canada.
I had the power off on the wall, and I had the power natural on the side.
Oh.
It's like fireworks.
Out of the boiler.
Out of the boiler. Electronics or something. I'm just like,
Oh, well, yeah. Probably is all shorted. It's because we got a million problems to deal with today. So.
On a Sunday, and Bob should be at church. That hopefully they respect what Bob's sacrifice is. Right? What Bob's sacrifice is for the client.
Is that what we were going to talk about today? Business? I need my keys.
Yeah, business. Sacrificing.
What does it take to be in business, Rob? This is it. This is living proof.
What does it take to be in business? Well, I tell you what, in today's world, it's ever evolving, is it not? I have business discussions with a very close business friend of mine. We talk about liability. We talk about the modern world of doing business. Permits. We are spending on a say $100,000 project. We're probably spending 30 to 40 hours of meeting time. Permits. Pulling the paperwork. Fuck, it never ends. And people never see the backstory behind all that shit in a business. The paperwork it's a 50-50. Bob's doing the work. He's out there punching it, looking like the glory guy. He's the man. But if he doesn't go home, write down the hours that he left. If Bob doesn't go home and catalog everything, Bob's got to torque his nuts and check. Because we both thought the same thing. I'm like, someone's trying to fucking kill me. Security cameras all around my house. I'm like, oh, it's on. So Bob checks his torque, and I'm like, shit brakes, right? You're like, why'd the pump fail? Well, why'd your tire almost fall off? Nobody tried to loosen your nuts. I'm like, they just fucking shit happens. And you're like, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, all right, driving around with my 12 gauge. I'm like, you want to bring it? I'm like, okay, I gotcha. And I'm like, then the tire falls off, brakes fail, and I'm like, my ex-wife used to say this, if you do a lot of shit, a lot of shit happens.
No problem.
True words.
The other dude coming up just to give you a different room key? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think they're finding your room right now.
Okay, so hang on.
Yeah. I'm going to make some noise.
Big one that guys miss. Bob might be the best fucking tradesman in the world. He might be walk on water. He's Jesus himself. But if Bob doesn't build a job, who gives a shit? Bob might be the worst businessman in the world. I love this stuff. We call that a Saskatchewan beaver. Shoot through drywall. Don't put a Diablo steel demon blade on there. You'll cut through the whole wall.
That's my next move, is cutting through the whole wall.
And this right here, this is the same as me. I'm like, Bob's using a Sawzall. I would use my elbow and just, people watch me. They're like, how big a hole are you going to cut? I stand up through the ceiling. I'm like, I need that wide. And I'm like, it's all soft. It's all water. Rip it down with your hands. I'm like, and try not to bleed. This is the sponsor section of the program. Watson gloves. Well, I didn't save the thumb cutting off because I didn't know about them back then, but Watson gloves. And Bob is the same way. Bob probably has, Bob has 200 pairs of gloves, wants to protect his hands, but he's like, blood everywhere. I'm like, I got 50, 60, 100 pairs of gloves. I'm like, and I'm like, after I cut myself, I'm like, why don't I put a glove on? Fuck.
I've never said that wrong.
Yeah, nobody has. After you get the shit in your eye, you're like, wow, I'll just put my glasses on that are sitting right there by the grinder.
Right?
Right? Everybody, and all the guys are like, oh, I love the guys that on Instagram, you see everything is perfect in the mechanical rooms. It's like literally you can eat off the floor. It doesn't work that way in the real world at all.
I don't recommend anybody doing this, by the way.
Bob's going right through the tile. I might recommend like a 12-pound club hammer to Bob and just, you get more violent aggression out. You get a sort of shoulder, but it works really well. Oh, the noise. And is Bob even wearing ear protection? And I think his wife's on, and she's like, no ear protection, no eye protection. I think Bob folds his beard up, if you don't see it on camera, but it shields him. You can still see through the beard.
Oh, that's too hard.
Squeeze his foot. Bob turns into Bruce Lee. Bob Lee.
You know, the problem is Peter is supposed to be on call right now, and he decided to go look for girls.
Okay, you know what? I respect that, though. I'd still be pissed off. But at his age, you're like, I get it. That's a tough one. That's a tough one, Bob. I'd be pissed off too, but I'd be a little less pissed off because of the reason.
Yeah.
I'd still be like, yeah, I remember being that age. That's a tough one. The call, the power of the draw. You're like, yeah, I know. And it's like my dad, and you know why too? Because they know Dad's gonna fucking pick the pieces up. How's that too? Guess who's always gonna be there?
That's exactly what I said. If you were working for another company, you'd be working.
Yeah, exactly. You might not get fired, but twice, maybe 3 times, you're done. The problem is, you know what? And this is an interesting one. The problem with what's coming is trades are going to be in such demand, it won't matter. There was a time, I think, back when I was a kid in the 70s, where there was so much work, you could punch a guy out, walk across the road, and get another job. I remember my dad saying it. He goes, "It's horrible because idiots prosper," is how he said it.
Well, that's part of what's going on these days, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, a bunch of things. They're simplifying the trade, making it so easy you can rent all the equipment at Home Depot. And then the homeowner's like, I can put it all in.
It's in here, so it's in the ceiling of the space below. It's not here. It's not there. It's probably this stupid one of these lines feeding the showers. So I'm going to open up this shower wall. You're going to give this lovely man a new room. Okay.
and the longer you talk to me right now, the longer it takes.
Right?
Where did you grow up? Tell me your life story. Do you live with your parents? They come in, I'm like, can you stop laughing?
That fucking blade is hit, by the way.
That blade done?
It's done. That is fucking rock solid. You know.
Some guy put good backing in there. See, Bob lost a lot of weight recently, so he can't do the same kicking he used to do.
Yes, I can.
You're like, what? Bob's like, oh yeah, whole wall blows out. It's like, oh. They call that old man strength. Uh-oh.
It's a bummer. That's an exciting Sunday morning that you didn't want to be a part of.
Bob's doing Swiss cheese hotel style. He hasn't even found the problem yet.
I'll be right back.
It's in between here and here. And then what happens is you're like, it's cheaper to cut the tub in half at some point where he's like, and you don't know that until you get to past the point of it would have been cheaper to cut the tub in half. And you're like, because you'll get to a point where you're like, we have to cut the tub in half. And you're like, but that's not your first thing you went to because you're like, nah, tub's $1,200. You got to retile it. And you're like, but you can't get anything in there to make that work. You're like,
Yeah.
love the calls.
Okay. Oh.
Everybody's really excited though, right? The flurry of activity.
What's happening? What's going on? I'm like, listen.
Everybody's like, Bob submits the bill. It's like $2,000. They're like, holy fuck. Bob's like, whoa. You got drywall, paint.
$2,000. This will be
Three?
yeah, at least.
Right?
If somebody pisses me off, it'll be 5.
You're like, the guy's looking at the bill and the sticker shock going, I'm like, I didn't call you.
No.
So in business, like I've done lots of mentoring. I've actually told guys to quit their job. I've had people come back to me years later saying thank you. Leveraging people for more money, all that kind of stuff. And not leveraging, know your own worth. Also, don't overshoot the landing either. How many people have promised they can walk on water? You get there and you're like, I had one guy, he didn't know how to articulate the handle on the crimper, the angle head crimpers. He's like, they're broken. I go to the job. He was a journeyman. And I'm like, they're broken? I've never seen a crimper angle head broken. I'm like, I articulate him and the look on his face. And I'm like, after 2 weeks when I fired him, I actually called the apprenticeship board and I'm like, who the fuck hands out tickets down there? Because this guy, pull it. I do everything. The only thing I don't do in the trades is what I don't want to do. This guy, wow. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. Watching him solder, explaining the basics. I'm like, sad. So in business, you got to be well-rounded.
You're famous, Benny.
Hey, Benny. Is Benny the controller?
Benny's the GM. He's the one that's freaking
F out.
He doesn't use
Yeah,
that
he is.
word very often, but he's going to use it today.
Yeah, he is. The Sunday sermon
It's
bill.
Sunday. It's Sunday. He can't. He's Sunday. He can't. If it was Monday, it'd be a blue streak right now.
What we don't talk about is the profit that he takes from his hotel and gives it to Bob. And then Bob takes that money and buys some goat feed, some chicken feed,
Yep.
supports his family, and that money
We're just
fingers out.
we're just talking about how much the bill's going to be there.
We call it wealth distribution.
You built this guy.
This is the way the world works. They could make a product that never fails,
Yeah.
So you think that's time to show?
just they won't put it in.
You went at 3 or 2.
Sorry, I wanted 2. I wanted 3.
And you realize that Bob's still in the investigation stage. He still doesn't even know what's wrong yet. He might just go, you know what it's going to be too? He's going to cut it, and he's going to put a shark bite cap on.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
He's going to put a shark bite cap on, and if he doesn't, because you can't glue it, he's going to cut out,
no idea what we're
up,
talking
down.
I have no idea.
No, just fix it. Deliver us, Bob. Help. How many times have you been the savior where you're like, you do all that work and you're like, click.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
can't
the
fix
beauty
it.
of the job, though, right?
We're gonna isolate.
That's what you do. That's the beauty of what you do.
Yeah,
Is once
And-
it's fixed, everybody thinks you're amazing.
and as well with the places now, what's coming because of the lack of labor and the lack of skilled labor. The guy that could normally work at that hotel to fix it, he's gone. He doesn't exist anymore. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but I did say that Bob was going to switch over to a 8-pound hammer, didn't I?
You did.
Bob lost weight recently. Bob's like,
No, there's
maybe
the water line.
Bob probably hasn't had his maple syrup yet. I love it. The destruction that comes in. And the hotel guys
Gotta
are
be
like,
right. It's gotta be right down there to the floor.
was I wrong in saying we're going to be taking the tub out? Possibly.
Well, so this is
I
that's the
love it.
hot line right there. Is it wet? It's wet.
Turn the water back on. You'll find it. You already got 5,000 gallons of water. I'd turn the water back on. Let's see it right quick. Stop talking. Okay, look at if you're visually impaired and you read what the Baked Jules comment said, can't hear anything with all that banging. It's not what you think. Bob's actually working at a construction site. Just because he's on with me, don't you jump there. Look at
Right. That's right.
focus. Yeah. Is it broke, Bob?
Okay. I don't see, it must be below the floor.
Oh,
You want to crack that valve just a tiny bit?
what a piss
Yeah.
off. Sandwiched in between the floor. Haven't you? And I've seen the
Fucking
screws
between the
through
floor.
the plate, a screw through the plate into the line in a Wurzbow line, and like 5 years later, it eats the screw, and then just starts pissing, and you're like, where the fuck's the water coming from? Cut the world apart, smash the tub, $20,000 reno. You're like, because the guy shot the water line and no protection plate.
Yeah,
With
well, there is
all
no.
the inspections, okay? With all the inspections,
no
they'll call up your
protection.
ass with a microscope, right? Yeah.
There are no inspections here. This place
No.
is this place is bananas.
That place is called a revenue generator.
Yeah.
I love when people say to me, they're like, do you have a problem coming here on the Sunday? I'm like, I will come here every Sunday for the rest of your fucking life. I'm like, you call me on a Sunday. I'm like, you're in Vegas right now, and you're hoping you can hop high enough to grab that big ball on that one slot machine where you're like, that's the one.
One.
Yeah. Emergency service work. Here's the thing. What Bob's doing, I did it yesterday. Because of your double up on the labor, what happens is it picks up, bang, 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 bang. And then the problem is if this was at 3 a.m, it ruins your day the next day. Because people are like, oh, you made all this money. I'm like, well, I really wasn't functioning like I should have been the next day.
Right.
Right? Like, you made all this money. Well, you fucked me over and called me at 3 a.m., which I'm an emergency worker. This is what we do. But, I was sleeping when you called me. Or it's New Year's Day, or pick the holiday. I've left my kids' Christmas concerts, and I'm like, hello? And people look at you, and I'm like, I got to go. And my wife just is like, what? I'm like, this is a client that gives me $300,000 a year. I don't give a good fuck what day it is. I am going right now. You're like, you go.
You
why?
have to. You have to.
You know why? Because he goes, that's the guy you call every time. You never not want to be there for that client. Because guess what?
Okay, listen, Robbie.
There you go. Look at that.
I can hear it. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
It's below that.
Sandwiched in between the floor.
And I cut through it with my fucking sawzall, so that's going to be an issue. But
love it. Oh.
So good.
Yep, shut her down. Shark bite becomes the most common thing. I've never, in my entire career, like, you be back in what? And I'm like, well, does your cure time say sooner? Because the flow guard can't get past that glue. And you look at the client, you're like, well, either put compression on it, which I hate. I call those Mickey Mouse fittings, right? And you're like, I see guys press fitting copper fittings on flow guard. I'm like,
I've done it twice in an emergency.
Yep, I know it works, but I'm like,
it works.
Plastic and metal, two different metals, specific gravity. You want to get into the technical? I'll get the chalkboard out. I'll start going off here. I'm like, I don't like it. I know that I've seen it, but I'm like, I'd rather roll groove Sked 80 PVC and put it in. Because guys have never roll groove PVC. I'm like, yeah, you can do it. You reduce the pipe strength by 50%. Or thread Sked 80. I've threaded lots of Sked 80. So in the trades, like, I don't know, because you're talking about what does it take to be in the trades today. I'm looking at Rael, and I'm trying to set him up for owning his own business.
Oh, sorry,
I'm like, I told him I'll help him out.
Oh, you videoed it? Yeah.
Oh, you just stand in here in the water. I only been around long enough
I love it.
4 years of the basement. It's Jody going from,
That's right there. Right above this. Keep it thing.
Thank you.
That's what we're opening up. So, sorry.
You need to, you need light?
No, the ceiling came down on my head and the fucking light bulb broke.
Oh. I see the mother. Check this valve if you had any portable lighting.
I got one in my truck. I'll be right back. You do? So we can see what the hell we're doing.
Now, this is another sponsorship. We could shout out to Unilite that Bob is broke. We could use a little Unilite UK shipment. Yep. Bob might trade you a hat. Unilite, if you're listening.
Right.
I don't know if they're on, but they could. If we tag them in the ass kissing comment section. Yeah. If you could do one thing, I swear to the Almighty, I'm like, if you could be one thing, just be real. How about that?
Yeah. I do have a couple of Unilites, but I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee, the big ass Milwaukee.
Yeah, well, Bob's turning this into a 3-ring production. Nicks that
Fucking
line, then he's like,
ridiculous.
part of the process.
like you say, I went to my daughter's basketball game this morning. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving to go do the barn thing. And on the way,
Bob knows
Benji
exactly
calls me.
this. Your life
like,
changes with one phone call, radically. You were going that direction, then you're like, I've literally, I've wrecked, how many times have you wrecked clothes? Where I go to Walmart, I'm so pissed off on the way home, and I'm covered in shit, and you're like, I just ruined another, and my wife would be like, why do you have so many pairs of jeans? And I'm like, I was in my car, like not working, and I'm like, an emergency, and I'm like, I go straight to the job.
Yep. I've shown up in a suit before.
Yeah. I've got a picture of me when I was getting married. I've got a picture of me in my tuxedo. Because on the way to the wedding, a friend of mine called from around the corner. I'm like, well, I'll come have a look at it right now. And he's like, I show up in my tux, and he's like, it's the picture I have with the ProPress gun from 2004, I think. And I'm like, I was on my way to get married. No shit. And I'm like, I was dressed up, and I'm like, oh, I'll swing by and have a look. And I'm like, I have a picture of me in a tuxedo holding a ProPress gun. And I'm like, that's your level of commitment.
I should have given her an indication of where we are.
Honey, I'm a tradesman.
It's strange. I hate to sound like that old guy that like, nobody knows how to do it. There's so few.
Yep. The real trades guys that like say, I've told this to kids, if you get it done, you're going to own the world. Because that knuckle dragon guy that you need to show up on a Sunday, your next option is this. I was at that call yesterday, and you know what she said? This is what the lady, and I've heard this same as you, 1,000 times. I called everybody, and I'm like, no, you didn't, because you didn't call me. And she never got me out of the phone book. She never got me out of advertising. She got me as a referral from another person.
Yeah.
I don't even advertise.
Yeah.
And she's like, thank God. I'm like, yeah, I'll sort. And she's like, everybody has said that. I'm like, I am the last person that you'll call. There is nobody that comes behind me and mops up my shit. I'm the guy that mops up other people's shit. And I shove a video camera down, and I'm like, there's your problem right there. It's the restaurant. And I'm like, well, everybody says that. And I'm like, but I can prove it. It's called the video camera, and look at all the grease. I'm like, let me go into the restaurant and ask a bunch of questions. How often do you clean your grease trap? Are you busy? And every restaurant owner will be like, we're slammed. And then you're like, okay, well, how many tablespoons of grease do you put in your grease trap? Do you do 300 plates a day? Oh, absolutely. We're that busy. Can I shut the water off? We're really busy. Okay. Would you say you put 200 teaspoons of grease in the grease trap? Yeah, a day.
Here's your shout out, Robbie, for
Milwaukee. You got the Milwaukee Super Light in. Now Bob's doing not bad with that light. I would have done a 3-ring circus and put the clamp assembly around the outside. Add the LEDs. And I need color in the bathroom while working on an emergency call. You've seen it. 250 feet around the bathroom. I'll just set up my light show, and the guy's like, what? I'm like,
go. Yeah.
So what do we got? Is it a cracked flow guard line? Have you found it yet?
No, we have not found it yet.
Yeah. You see water everywhere, but you're like, is it a screw? Bob's cut the line, but that's not it. Look at the amount of destruction, in one little leak. You're like, I like working in Mexico because they've got all concrete and all of the plumbing runs in chaseways. Wouldn't you love that? A mechanical chaseway you could just go into.
That's what they should have. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Look at where you got to work to get into these places, and you're like, no problem. Cover it up. How did the bill get to $50,000? I'm like, well, yeah, through 7 floors. Oh. I'm gonna recline. There you go, Bob. You're working. I was crushing it yesterday, though.
Where is it now? It's here somewhere.
I love the fact you still even got to it yet.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Like 8.
You're going to hear these words come out of Bob's mouth very soon. Bob, how tight is it? Bob can't even get his hand in there to get it. And then Bob's going to say, you couldn't even fit a bee's dick in there. A what? A bee's dick. And Bob knows how thin that is. A little microscopic. And he's like, look where he's working. And you're like, how the fuck did this? Remember, no tile, no drywall. Everything was open. And the guy just glued it together. Bob's like, hand me the 20-pound sledge.
What the hell is that?
Oh, I love it. I hope it's a handyman repair coupling, the twisty one. Or a shark bite that failed. Is Bob bleeding yet?
Not bleeding yet, I don't think.
Not bleeding
I usually
yet.
find them after I leave.
Yeah, your hands get sticky and you're like, what's that? You know the feeling of blood when it's in between your fingers. You're like, it's not water slippery. Bob's like,
What they do? Pour concrete on this thing? In one stupid little spot now?
I fucking love it.
What the?
Yeah, they saved money on disposal. They just filled it. The Shot Creek guy slipped at the hose. The inspector didn't catch that, and they're like, it's the best fireproofing concrete.
Hold that for a second.
Bob's getting
Look
mad
at
now.
You can't even see anything.
I love this shit. Look at this. Okay, turn the water back on.
Around. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the more.
So that there's
Is that
Joist
solid
space.
concrete?
joist space, and then around the tub drain is concrete.
Is that a whole
And you
block
can
of concrete?
actually, yeah, and you can see the CBDC in that thing, and all the
Oh,
and
no
all
idea why
the
it failed.
sawdust.
Oh. If you go get an SDS Plus DeWalt jackhammer, not sponsored by DeWalt. Shit,
What
where's my
in the
DeWalt?
hell?
I don't have my DeWalt hat on. If you had that chipping hammer, pop, pop, pop. Are you serious? That's a 50-pound block of concrete around the tub drain.
Oh,
Bob,
and I can
right now,
and I can
right now,
see-
Bob's like this. That little fucker, Pete.
Yeah,
Cause-
maybe
but-
you can't
cause
see,
here's the
but
thing.
there's the
Here's the
water
best
line
part.
right there.
Bob would be getting the call right now from Pete going, Dad, you're not going to fucking believe this. And Bob's like, Pete, I've seen it all. No, you haven't, Dad. I'll be here all
I've not
day.
seen that.
What do you mean?
It's just right there. Like, who does that?
I know. Look at the amount of work Bob has to do because some guy cut a corner. Some guy saved, I don't know why. The fire stopping, if that's what it's for, I'm like,
It
wow.
can't be fire stopping. It's just right there at the...
Yeah. The whole tub drain's encased. 20-pound sledge, Bob. That's what I start with. That's why, because it always turns into shit like this.
Oh, man.
Then you get that Tasmanian devil anger, and you're like, okay, we're breaking shit now.
I know, now I'm mad.
Yep. That's where the anger state comes out. Bob's going to bleed. I heard an ouch. Oh, yeah.
I'm bleeding,
Oh, this
I'm
is
bleeding
like-
out.
Bob's bleeding. I can't see your feet, though, Bob. Are you wearing steel toes or slippers?
At least I'm not wearing... At least I'm not wearing Birkenstocks.
Look at, you can weld in open-toe shoes.
Oh, my gosh. Ow. I don't even know what to say. They literally screwed drywall screws into the concrete.
Oh, man, I love this.
Sam,
I love this. I love this. This is the best live show ever. Bob's like, I got to go home and get the jackhammer. The what? Yeah, it's for a water leak. As it evolves, you can see the shitstorm get bigger. Bob's like, I'm wrecking everything now. I'm
Fucking wrecked now.
Yesterday I got called in because the water wouldn't stop flowing to the toilet. What they didn't say was it was a sewer backup and the water was geysering out of the toilet. What do you think I brought? Everything to fix a water repair. Did I have a drain machine? No, because everything was, we cut the cables off, fixed a bunch of shit. If they said main sewer block, I'd have brought my 1500. No.
Well, I should have brought my jackhammer. Just a big block of, like, I don't even know what its purpose is.
Well, like say the guy just probably shotcrete fucked up and he poured it into the floor opening, and the guy's like, right? Like, because there's no reason for it to be there.
No one
So,
will
like,
ever. No one will ever know.
No one will know. No one will know. Except Bob will on a Sunday morning, and he's like, "Why is the bill so big?" Now you just if you save the
Don't
lie,
feel it, Val. Oh my God. Yeah.
solid cement.
Even my Colombian drug lord is swearing right now.
Yeah, in a language we don't understand.
Look at that thing. You know what that means? It means he's killed people.
Yep. Yeah, it does. Let's see his gang tats though. He's got tattoos.
He's that maintenance guy by day. His gang tats are covered up. You can't see him.
He's
But
got
if you meet him on
up.
the street afterwards.
Pedro always wears a robe.
Yeah.
You know, those priest guys? That's why.
Yeah.
They're robed up for a reason. Bob's looking at his little roofing hammer. He's like, I should have brought a bigger hammer. Is that a Martinez? Sponsorship of the program. If Bob was swinging a Martinez hammer, that wall would be gone.
It's a Malco.
Oh, Malco.
Okay, Malco.
Look at. Did you not meet Mark Martinez at a show or anything where you could have got him to sign a hammer?
Nope. I don't do the fan stuff very well.
Oh man.
You know, Rob. I'm my own fan.
Yeah, I know. So am I. I find it weird when someone wants to take their picture with you. You're like, you know, I'm a plumber, right? Although I'm really famous, but Bob's going through it now. You know, Bob's probably got one of those little mini jackhammer. You know, you buy those stupid tools where you're like, I'll never use that hammer feature. Bob's going to go get a steel drill bit, put it on click hammer, and he's going to start popping, flaking that apart. Or just because, how big is that piece? Looks pretty big. What do you figure that weighs? 50 pounds? 60 pounds of concrete? Solid block?
Yeah. It's a solid block of slop.
Yeah. Hey, Pedro, catch it. Like, why'd the
What's going to happen is I'm going to put a hole in the top.
Yep. Yeah. You got to get a guy there with a bucket. You got to get a bunch of towels. I'm like, the prep for the cleanup of the job, and you're like, I just want to fix the fucking water line and go home. I had shit to do today, and it wasn't this. You'll get compensated, but what you're doing right now is you're trading your time for money, that's a big one. I've done everybody has. Anybody in service has done what Bob's doing, if you want to stay in business. Listen, Bob will be, once Bob gets the water on.
Have you ever seen it?
Savior.
No. This is brand new. This is virgin territory.
Okay, I'm not going to lie, Bob. I'm a little bit of that guy. I might pour that thing in there just to be kind of a shithead. But in the twilight of my career, I'm going to put that red Loctite shit on everything. Guys will be, that fucking turbo guy, he Loctited. He took shit apart that it wasn't even his. I'll be like, take one bolt out, put it in. Okay, look at, turbo's sitting while you're working. Well, what do you want me to do? Go help him? I was supposed to be there, but my grandmother passed away, and I'm waiting for the funeral arrangements. Because I was just going to drive out, and then I'm like, anyway. Bob's doing a great job, though.
What just happened?
Oh, Bob heard something. Somebody flushed the toilet.
No,
somebody flushed the toilet.
I just missed my head. Oh, look at. You got a big flat screwdriver?
There you go. Bob's going to start swinging for the parking lot.
Jesus.
Mickey Mantle swing. Oh, this is the best. Watch this. Now Bob's mad. Old man strength. Right? Oh, this is the best part. Bob's pissed off. You can see Bob's belly. Get that shake going. Full swing. Holy fuck. Why would you pour concrete there? And now Bob can't say this tonight. You know, I've never seen a 50-pound block of concrete poured around a tub drain for no reason.
For no reason.
Look at. Oh man, I love it. Bob's like, that guy that did
Daniel,
that.
man!
That guy that
What
did
in the
that
hell?
saved going to the dumpster back when they built the place. They could have cleaned it out. He's like, it was Friday. He didn't give a shit. He's like, it hopped out and sprayed a bit in the tub drain. Fuck it. We're never going to have to deal with it. Leave it. Don't worry about it. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Bob's angry. Yep. I've been there. Bob's like, and Bob can't say it because
There's
he's
the
on the
water line
law,
right
but you're
there,
like,
man.
yeah. Swing for the parking lot, Bob. Get in there. Because the guy that needs to pay the bill.
Yeah, wait.
It's on this side, though. It's behind it.
Well, the drug cartel's in there. Now the drug cartel's boss is in there.
That's the cold line that you can see.
Yep, Sanchez has showed up now, and Bob's going to fuck up the water line so he can't even know what the original problem was.
No. It's going to be bad.
The flow gun exploded. Do you think it was you hitting it with the
cold
plug?
line.
Look at that.
The hot line's right behind it.
And Bob's like, I didn't bring my masonry tools. I'm sorry.
You know what? My little hammer drill is in the barn because I used it just on Saturday. And
that's always
I'm
there.
not going to need that.
And Bob's like this.
What do you want to do?
Bob would use a rock if he had to. And Bob's like, I have $1 million in fucking tools, and I'm using their hammer.
There you go.
Bob's like, in my
It
life.
should be on this little house or something.
Oh, I love it.
Whatever you need, all this is.
Whatever you need. Bob needs a bigger hammer. Bob needs a jackhammer and a little flaking action. And this guy's looking at Bob swing a 4-pound hammer in the finished bathroom, and he's like, oh, well, what about, you're like, we have the whole building without water right now. You know that, right? See, now, this is where Bob's like, I wish my endurance was a little better. And the best part of this is I'm in Bob's
I don't care if you're 52 or 22. This is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is. Working above your head? I get that when I shine my light. I do a foot a day of light shining. That's all I can afford. I fucking love this. It's the best. Bob's like,
fuck me.
Yep, I know. His shoulder's burning, and he's like, right now he's mad at every fucking job he's ever done like this because they all flash back, and you're like,
I should have been a baby doctor, Robbie. I should have been looking at vaginas all day long, counseling women on how to look after the lady parts.
And right now, Pete is like, Pete's waking up to some cute little blonde, and he's like this. He's nibbling her neck, and Bob's like, fucking Pete.
Better not be.
Pete, what? If you're lucky, he's got that girlfriend. I'm like, come on, Bob, get that thing done. I gotta see the end result. Is it a screw? Thermal convection because of the concrete. The lime didn't eat through the CPVC. We can talk about the properties of chlorinated polyvinyl chloride and why you wouldn't recommend it. And it's going to be the hot line. And they're like, it's rated for hot. It doesn't fucking like hot water. Polyvinyl chloride and chlorinated polyvinyl chloride do not like hot water. And chlorine. The combination of those two things break down the thermoset plastic, and it causes deterioration in the system. Bob is experiencing this right now. And when you encase it in concrete and the two properties of thermographic expansion work on each other, then look at where you have. And Bob's having the experience of that right now. Yeah. Oh, I love it. This is great. And Bob's still not even at the source of the problem.
I still don't even know where the leak is.
He still hasn't found the leak. He's destroyed 2 bathrooms, probably 3, and right now over the front lobby, it's raining. And right now he's like, do you have a shop vac? Oh, oh, my back is so sore. Look at Bob. His shoulder looks sore even. Look at Bob. Bob's having a good... How much of the concrete's left up there, Bob? Half? See, Bob's doing what we call front wipe swings. Oh, we're gonna get banned from the internet. Holy fuck! Look at. Look where it is. You might as well take the drain out and start going at it like that. Just break that drain. Like holy shit! You need one of those Mason's spikes, those chisels, big Mason chisels. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Come on, Bob, get in there. Bob's not angry enough yet. He's gonna get that.
No,
you can see
I
it.
was angry. I peaked. Nothing happened, and then I quit.
And now Bob's doing the Bill Gates. Bob's like, okay, just a couple more swings.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get my fucking chillers.
I know. And you look at it, you're like, there's no way it can be that tough. I just got to hit it here. And I'm like, no, that long chisel thing with the little guard protector. Yeah. Or a cordless jackhammer. But do you have that now? And Bob's like, I own every fucking tool in the world to fix this. I'd be done.
I own 3 of them. of them.
And does he have any right now? And he's like, right now, he's like, no, what I need to fix this is here, here, and here. And if Pete drove his van, he's probably got the one in it to fix it. That's the best part. He's like,
he was using it on that commercial roughing we did yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing with that is, even the manual way doing this, it'd just be faster unless you got to take a break. And I'm like, and you do, right? Take a break, you calm down. I go, you got the range. I love it because everybody that's worked on these calls is like, you got to figure out. Okay, look at it. Figure out another way. Look at it. Nope, I don't have that tool. What's the other way? Okay, go to the parking lot. It's like, I need a brick, and I'm going to hit the brick with this or a piece of steel, and you're like, you make it work. That Weir screwdriver that you fucking covet and you love, that's now the sacrificial Weir screwdriver. You're like, I'm sorry, Jamie from Weir, you get, but this fucker's going for it. And I'm like, then you break it, and you're like, don't care.
No, I'll send him a bad review.
Yeah. Right, it's pain in the ass.
Oh, my goodness.
And then you got to explain the bill because you're going to have to justify the overtime charge, all this bullshit. And you're like, watch my Instagram because you're like, that's why I don't like when guys say, I've never seen that before. I'm like, it scares me because when you have a long enough career, you're like, you can't say that very often anymore. Is he bleeding?
Sorry,
no blood yet, though. I don't see any of the red stuff. Bob's going right now to get electrician's tape.
I'm going to take that drain apart.
My road keeps opening. I really apologize.
And then grab my screwdriver. Anything else to me? No. Smile. Smile for me, babe.
And everybody, make sure you message Bob later and find out how Pete got. Where did Pete go last night? Because there's an acceptable reason for missing this call, but Pete...
He went down to a party in Lethbridge.
What? Lethbridge? Was he on call?
Yeah. We had a big, long chat about it.
Wow. Well, yeah.
But,
Bob doesn't spank his children, but Pete's in shit. And Pete's going to get reprimanded. I'll send Pete a private message. I'll be like, Pete, how you doing?
Yeah. Leave your old man out there.
Yeah. My God. What, Bob, right now, his stress level went up. His heart rate went up. He's swinging that hammer above his head. And then I laugh when guys are like, I don't work out in my gym sometimes. And I'm like, I'll skip a fair while. And I'm like, what I need to get is cardio. I don't need strength. If you think I need strength, I'm like, that's where you're completely wrong. I'm like, my job, right? I'm like, my back right now, I had to go to a physio and all this shit. And I'm like, because my back is seized up. And I'm like, what do you think it could be? The 50,000 pounds of wood, bricks, dirt, work, water heaters, boilers, truck falling off, stress, owning a business? Could it be any of that? Or just because I worked too hard and didn't drink enough water?
No. Because you're not saying your chakra is enough.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm inner channeling because since I got the massage chair, the hot tub, and all the other shit, I've never been injured more.
Right?
Yeah. I'm like, isn't this stuff supposed to help me work faster and harder? But I'm like, yeah.
No, I have half my family is fucking chiropractors.
Yeah.
And they all say, dude, you got to come in. And every time I've done it, I end
You're
up
the
hurt
tightest
within
guy.
5 days.
You're the tightest guy we've ever worked on. And I'm like,
Yeah.
my
And then I get
physio,
hurt.
she's like, I need 2 hours because we work. I'm a rubber band that is tight. Always have been. So are you. Stretching is our thing. We got to stretch more.
You got to come back every 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to work.
Yeah, for $150, I'm like, no, I'm gonna work through the pain.
No. Yeah.
Like this shoulder thing. I found a tennis ball. I'm on it this morning in a hot tub, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Is it sore? I'll hang the rest of my steel out of my hot tub area and start welding it today, and people will be like, what are you welding?
Morning.
Right now, Bob's taking a break. His heart rate's coming down, and Bob's getting geared up to go and do the rest. He's like, Bob got another tool. And Pete's being shamed a little more. We're pissed off at Pete right now.
Pete, you suck.
Pete, you're
his little comment to me yesterday was, well, what if a call doesn't come in? I'm like, that's the joy of being on call, Chachi. You never freaking know.
What are the odds of us getting a call? And watch you miss 3 calls in a day, and that customer calls your competitor, and that pen stroke went through your name instead of under it.
Yeah.
That's the fear. You let someone else take your call, and they will take your customer.
Yep.
Right? And here's the other thing, too, that guys make a mistake on. You then become maybe their primary customer, and you picked up somebody else's bullshit that they didn't want to do. And it's a $500 call, $1,000 call, $5,000 call, whatever. And they're like, hey, do you think we should refit the whole building with all that Wurzbo or Uponor stuff and the gluey pipe together thing and get this shit out of here? And you're like, we've accrued $400,000. Do you think it'll be enough? And Bob's like this. Hi, Pedro. You're now my friend.
Yep.
Can I get you Edmonton Oilers tickets, perhaps? Right? What do you need to get me across the board on that? Because you save them today and you become their friend tomorrow. And you're reasonable, right? Like, look at the shit you're going through. Is that reasonable? Absolutely not.
It's fucking ridiculous.
And you see somebody cut a corner. How many times have you opened up drywall and you're like, what, do they fucking use this as a garbage disposal site for drywall? And they do. And
they do.
Throw it in the walls. Why wouldn't you? You don't have to take it to the dump. It's just in the house. Sure sucks at the reno when you cut it all apart and you have to pay the disposal today, though.
Right? The bill always comes due.
Yep. Yeah. You got like say, this guy cut a corner. I used this correlation the other day when people make a mistake in business. I installed a restaurant drinking water, and I said to the guy, you should get a automatic tap with a bottle dispenser. They said no. I watched him for 20 years because that's how long that restaurant been there. And I watched the person, I've said this before, I've watched the person change the water barrel that they put in every day. This little girl with those Gott orange coolers that everybody's seen wrestle with the Gatorade cooler. This little girl weighs 80 pounds, wrestle a 100-pound bottle every day, twice, 3 times a day when they're busy. And I'm like, the labor they spent over 2 decades, like that guy saved a marginal amount of money with the concrete that's there. What's it costing him today? Just brutal.
Fortune.
Bob's doing a drain service for him right now. Look at the hair out of that drain. He didn't come there to take a drain apart. All he wanted to do was go cut and go, shark bite.
You know it.
Yep. And you're like, Bob's got that weird screwdriver.
There we go.
Jamie will send you new one. This is the part of the program where we talk about Wira and the quality. If you can get your hands on a Red Bull set, limited edition, you get them from Germany, get them. Oh, that's a bathtub. $1,000 out. That's no problem. We'll add that to the bill. And Bob's like, okay, I see what's wrong. There's the problem right there. There's Pedro. Oh,
Pedro's checking it out.
Pedro's checking it out. Okay, I'm getting pretty excited. Everybody get down. Sorry, it's been a little while.
Oh my God.
I didn't set this part up.
Fall on my head.
Yeah, we need the mason to come back. Bob's like, what?
You want to turn that water on just a tiny bit for me? Like, just
Mm.
turn it on so that you see the water wheel on the meter move. Just slowly. Okay. Count to 45 and then shut it off. Thanks, buddy. All right.
This is the energy portion of the program. Bob doesn't show you, but he drank a bunch of maple syrup before he was online. We do it with coffee. That's what I sweeten my coffee with, but sometimes. Are we turning the water on, Bob?
Yeah, we're about to turn the water on right now.
I love this. Oh, that's good. This is good.
Look at all that crap.
Mm-hmm. This is where the cleaner bitches about cleaning.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to give the cleaners a raise, too.
Yeah, well, after this, what we're going to have to do is... Oh, hold on a second. Did you see that roast I made? This is Alberta beef, Bob.
Yes, there is. I did see it. What kind of roast is it?
It's a New York strip steak that I was cutting and
go.
butchered. And what I did was I made a roast out of the New York. So it's a New York roast. Oh, my God. Bob's waiting for Pedro to turn the water on. It's a sprinkler show.
He's got to call in a couple of hits before he turns on the water for me.
He's on his way down to doing the Bohemian necktie thing to a few people. Like,
That's right. Yeah.
It is
He's
Sunday.
a busy man. It's a busy time for the cartels these days.
I am.
Oh, my hell.
I was going to cook eggs and do this big thing with the fajitas tonight. Oh, Bob is crushing it right now. That's okay. I slaved my ass off yesterday.
I'm sitting here sweating is what I'm doing.
And I'm driving down, and you think I remembered my fucking work boots? I'm working in a Schuer backup in Birkenstocks, and I'm like this. And I was going to go buy work boots, and I'm like, fuck it. I don't even care anymore.
That's right. You can't say anything about any OSHA crap with your work.
I know. No, nothing. Thank God it's on a Sunday, and I'm like this, and I look down because I'm like, I'm excited. They didn't tell me main sewer back up. Just the toilet water won't stop flowing. I'm like, I'll put a 1/2-inch plug on the fill line, call it a day. I get there, I'm like, there's a river of shit coming out of the gym, and I'm like this. I've heard this song before. I like the music. And then I look down, I'm like, I look through my truck, I'm like, of course I don't have the shit that I need. Boots.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, as if you guys can learn anything from this, we're about to find out where the leak is. And I had everything on my truck, even though it's a Sunday, and I'm in my basketball watching attire.
Well, because you weren't supposed to be working. My phone could cut out any second, and I have to go to work. But instead, I'm doing the commentary. I'm like the Aussie Man Review, just a Canadian version of it.
Yeah.
Oh, they really like the liquid concrete.
Those boilers were overheating or running like crazy, so this thing's been running. Come on, Al, turn on the fucking water.
He's tying somebody up right now. He's having a problem with the cuffs. He's improvising.
Yeah. Whoever it is, he's struggling for life, so he's got to take a little extra time.
Okay. I'm going to show a little bit of my custom light as I sit down. There we go.
Is that the basement now? Is that where you're working now?
Yeah. Okay, hold on. After my nudity this morning, I don't want to show any nudity because if you're a woman, you can show pretty much whatever you want. A guy walks by, 3 weeks off the internet.
Yeah.
The terrible sensitivities of the world today.
Oh, I hear it. Hang on.
Oh, so Bob hears it. Oh, here we go. Oh, I cooked 2 roasts, by the way.
There's the hole. Oh, I can feel it. Look at that.
Oh.
It's melted.
Look at that. No kidding.
Fucking melted.
They encased it in concrete. Stop the leak. Guys are fucking geniuses. How'd they melt How'd they melt it?
I don't know. There's something weird going on here. I wonder if my chimney's plugged.
Chemical reaction in the concrete? There's no torch on.
Hole. No.
I thought Tiny HVAC could be on. He's a cranky old fucker. I thought for sure he'd be chiming in. He'd be in his hot tub wanting to join in too.
I don't know. I probably had a bunch of people. Like, that's charred.
Wow.
So it's right there, and it's fucking charred.
Okay.
All right. Well,
it looks like BX, almost like electrical, like Lumex. The white shielding on the wire, the way it's deformed. Below the cement or below the concrete like that, but no torch on, no exterior membrane, nothing on. You're not on an outside wall. Where did the heat come from? You said the boiler.
The chimney is right here.
Yeah, you know what? I bet you do a thermal check inside that chimney chase. It overheated. There's your canary in the coal mine. Heat built up in that one zone, and the concrete was there and wouldn't let it flow through. Might have. It got fucking hot though. Fire chase isn't done properly, bet. You look at the rest of the hack work in there. Guaranteed.
Did you just say the fire chase isn't done right? No fucking kidding.
You think? Right? Oh shit! There's Ray. Ray's chiming in. He's getting in his hot tub.
What's that?
Happy fucking Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Look at all the happy death stories.
Woo! Woo!
Birthday. Thank you to Baker, Plumbing, and Heating.
That's Bob's harem.
We're not here for the pretty girls. We're here to
No. Well, that's the lotion in our toilet back there.
There's nothing more romantic than a woman telling you about floaters in the toilet.
I love it.
Woo!
Everybody needs to go make some popcorn.
How long have we been on this thing? I'm probably going to lose you in like, whatever.
An hour. It's okay. Come on, Bob. Why isn't Bob running? Isn't this an emergency?
Because I'm an old man, that's why.
All right. This is the religious fable time of the story. Now, Bob will reference the young buck and the old bull. Let's run down there, Dad, and get one of the cows. And Bob's like, no, let's walk down and romance them all. Bob's like, I walk. Here's the funny thing.
You guys get like it gets the whole fucking tour today.
If there's a fucking gas leak in that hotel, Bob turns into Usain Bolt and fucking takes 3 women out on the way out of the building while he blows the front door off. Ah!
Yeah.
Now Bob doesn't move that fast, but when you say gas leak,
if you see me running, you better keep up.
I tell people,
that goes, man.
I don't take you out, but you see me leave in a hurry, follow me. Don't ask why.
Yeah. Don't ask why.
Don't ask why. I might grab a person on the way out, but more than likely I'll go through the picture glass window with the fucking gone. Yeah. You can see with that melting action, you're like, can you imagine? You know what that's going to be. Yep. Bob's going to tell them they should have a hose tap and have a little spray going down that system to cool it down. Water jacket it. As I heat, Bob's going to sell them on this geo-utility spiral wrap so they reclaim on the cold water, preheat the building. Genius.
I should.
You don't see OG Plum God talking about this kind of stuff. You don't see recommendations coming crazy like this. And Bob's like, I recommend some more lights on the outside of the building. Melted chlorinated polyvinyl chloride. Now, this begs the question, what temperature does CPVC melt at?
Fucking hot.
That's full of water. That's what you got to say too, right? It heated the liquid up inside.
Full of water, moving water.
Pressurized water, and it melted like that. And you're like, woo! That's what started the whole thing. Could have burnt the building down. Now this is going to turn into the investigation.
That's what I'm doing all the next 5 days.
Because the comedy is
figuring out what the hell is going on.
This is the canary in the coal mine. It's like that got so hot it melted the CPVC. This is the symptom. The problem hasn't even been found yet. It's going to be the boiler. That's terrifying when you think how hot that got.
Yeah.
Right? It turned in like it. Oh man, that's something else. Shoddy construction puts our kids through college.
What's that?
Or plumbing school because Pete's not working.
Oh, yeah.
Pete, you're in shit.
Is the water still on? It's not on, is it?
Ooh, another piece of
You
meat.
want to shut her off for me?
Ryan, you know where it is?
Yeah. We
Bob
found it.
probably already had breakfast because he's like a farm guy, so he's been up early. Did you know that
True.
goats lay eggs? They do. Bob's already had a few goat eggs.
No. I haven't had goat eggs, but I did have eggs. And they're in high production. Those ladies are pumping them out. almost 18 a day now. That's a lot of eggs. A lot of eggs.
Backyard chickens.
Oh, yeah. Did you see it, Bob?
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, it's burnt out.
It's burnt now.
Yeah.
Burnt.
It's insane.
Want me to turn it off now?
Yeah, I think, well, I just told Roder. What's his name? What's your weekend maintenance guy's name? You get his name.
Who?
The weekend guy.
Phil.
Phil. Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But you guys watch it at home. Val is the Colombian drug lord.
Don't look at Bob's ass. Look down here. Don't look at Bob's ass.
Phil is
Focus on the Canadian. Right now, everybody's
my
like,
ass showing.
is Bob wearing underwear? He bends over and shows his ass crack. Shit's going down.
Yeah, Val, I don't know what the hell.
I think the chimney.
Well, the chimney is wicked hot, so that's going to be the next thing.
Bob's really killing it.
The chimney had a leak on it. Yeah, it's all burnt.
So we need to check that chimney and see if it's plugged.
Yeah. Is that a wood-fired chimney, Bob? What is it? What is that chimney?
It's the boilers.
Ooh. I should have made popcorn.
Look at that, man. Like, I didn't get the hole, but you can see.
I know.
That is insane.
I love this stuff.
Question is, there's your piece of pipe right there.
Her PVC do really well.
Yeah. So he came out here probably from the only door.
Canadian popcorn.
Over where the voice.
Yeah, I did.
I saw the Otis.
And it was so hot on that wall.
Wow.
I don't even think I can be able to get the short bite on that.
It's swelled up because of the heat.
Didn't burn the.
No.
Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm opening this up now.
Yep.
I'm making you guys lots of work.
No.
Bob's past angry. He's in the. Well, this is going to be a big bill.
You know it.
Bob's steak is getting bigger. Wreck that shit, Bob. Wreck it. We'd like to comment on the blade Bob's using. He's the same blade.
That's right.
Ray, we don't need your input. We're good. Join on, Ray. You should be on the live too. Are you in the hot tub, Ray? What's Ray doing? He's at his office. Well, Bob's really noisy, so I can't really commentary. Bob's like, okay, you need 2 bathrooms. And the guy's like, who do we call? He's like, it's not my department. I'm the plumber. We don't clean our mess up. We fucking make them, though.
That's right. I'm happy to clean it for the same rate.
Well, wait, Bob. We got it. You got what cutters are those? Are they Rothenberger, Reed? We got to tag the client. What brand?
Sorry.
You didn't show them? They don't even look brand new. What the fuck? We missed the opportunity. Are they weird?
No, man, they're Milwaukee.
They're Milwaukee. Oh. Wow, Milwaukee. Milwaukee's, yeah. Milwaukee. Did we say Milwaukee? Show the smooth cut, Bob. Holy fuck. Is that from the boiler? The vent pipe of the boiler?
It must have been doing it forever. I can't imagine that's like a Sunday morning thing.
Wow.
Something weird is going on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I missed the money shot.
Wait, you're not wearing underwear, Bob. You can see it. I know.
I'm bad at that.
Yep.
There it is. Shark Life for the win. Come on, haters. Tell me what you think.
They have their place in the industry. They do.
Yep.
And this is where it is.
That's where it is.
Unfortunately.
There's no better way to deal with that shit than that. None. Oh my gosh.
Because you know what the next option is. If you didn't have shark bite, compression, bullshit, you'd have to glue it and then be like, see you tomorrow. Leave the water off.
Well, that's how they do these buildings, right?
Gear clamps, and I'm like, they don't care about the end user. These flow guard systems, I'm like, I say to the glue guys when they're like, blah, blah, I'm like, you're not there to support the product when it's time to fucking glue the thing on a Sunday, because that's when this shit is memorable. Why? Because you can't turn the water back on. You're like, see you tomorrow. And they're like, yeah, but this is our busiest day. We're going to lose 10 grand. You're like, sorry.
Yeah, this hotel is literally full.
Yeah, Bob's done it.
There's 300 people in here.
Yep. Had a main sewer backup, and I'm like, it was flowing into a river. I'm like, you got to get all these people out of here. Okay, I'm going to get a temporary transfer pump, and I'm going to pump it into the barrel over there. I'm like, jockey it from one lift station to another, and I'm like, I guess you can keep your party going, because what does everybody want to say? Bob fixed it? Yeah. Keep the party moving. Woo,
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
We have to close this lady yesterday in the gym. Well, how long do I have to close for? 3 months. What? Well, you got raw sewage under all the mats. All this equipment's coming out. And she's like, but I don't have any money. I'm like, wrong fucking words on a Saturday with the main sewer backup and me knowing what's coming. And I'm like, all your equipment's out of here. They're going to biowash the whole place. $30,000 later. I'm like, are you ready? Yeah. Nobody wants to have that happen in their business.
No, that's people get catastrophic at that stuff, right? It's bad news.
And I'm like, and then I always say the same thing. My portion of this will be the smallest part of this bill. The excavator is coming in. They're going to have to replace that line because you see, this is just the top of the iceberg. And I'm like, oh, there's going to be 50 people behind me. And then the health authority gets involved because now you're in a public facility with that liability. And what do they want to do? Wash the floor and open it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have raw sewage. You're not. And I said to this lady, you're not walking in water. And she's like, you're in sandals. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a plumber. It doesn't mean my bed's made out of shit, but you know what? Take one for the team. And I'm like, I bet you my immune system's better than yours.
You know that for a fact.
Yeah.
All right, let us go.
There you go.
We'll go see him.
And Bob's going to put his hands up in the air and talk about how he exorcised the demon. Now,
I don't know.
Bob's in the building.
I'm going to say
Bob's in the building that we call the cash camel. It's the genie. That lamp is so shiny. Bob's like, rub, 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 rub.
Yep.
right? That's the client you go to every Sunday for the rest of your life, or the rest of your career that you want to work for, and then when you're done, wrap it up.
Which is the rest of my life.
Yeah.
As you said the other day, Robbie, I have 5 kids, so.
Yep. You know what?
I pretty much made my bed.
Well. Oh. Now Bob turns into the hero. He's high-fived, walking out of the building.
The best thing about working in these places is I can go take a nap right now.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. And you're like, and then you look at the mess and you're like, I can't believe how much damage that was. And then you're like, Bob will process this for another month. He'll be working away somewhere and he'll be like, why the fuck was the concrete around that piping? And you know the concrete is...
Somebody answer me that. Why is there concrete?
Yes.
Here's the ceiling, fellas. So I'm going to plug my thing. There's the ceiling. You see there's no concrete in there. I open up that strip. And there's still concrete in there. And the tub is full.
Yep.
And if you want to scroll back on this live, whatever.
That's ridiculous.
Half an hour ago, you can see me like a monkey swinging a wrench.
Bob was Barry Bonds, and he was swinging for the parking lot. It was the mid-'90s. It was the home run challenge. There was a cork bat involved, and Bob was 50 pounds of concrete. I'm like, that one big chunk, I'm like, oh, there it goes. Now imagine if Pete went to that.
Wow, that's the thing. It's like in Pete's Falls. It's fucking leaking, by the way. That sucks. Probably have a cross connection in there somewhere. That'd be awesome. Hot and cold, no cheating. Oh.
Now the main drain of the building will block. Bob will be leaving. He'll be like, yeah, you caused this. You're like, no, I didn't. They're both related. I'm like, no, the water in the drain. Then Bob will go out and there's a blob of concrete in the drain.
Right. We've all had that customer. You worked on my furnace, and now my toilet's plugged.
Oh, man.
Like,
yeah, we've all been there.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then trying to explain to the people the 2 different systems. I never went upstairs.
Right? I didn't go up into the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Even though you invited me to several times, lady. I didn't go up.
Oh, man. The ultimate service call.
Okay, here's my favorite service call, since I'm now just going to take a break for a second.
Favorite one, Bob?
My favorite situation of all time is when you go do a residential service call, lady at the house, go to the master bedroom, and she has some fantastic boudoir, naked picture of herself on this wall here. And I'm literally talking to her, looking at her naked in the background. And you know that that's totally intentional. There's no woman that unintentionally shows another man her naked pictures.
Yep. And Bob's like, I gotta go.
Okay. I think the problem's in the kitchen. Maybe we should go hang out in the kitchen. Instead of the master bedroom. Are you sure? I have another whole set of nudes that are hanging on my wall.
I've got a humidifier under the bed. Can you look at it, please?
Yeah. That's happened to me at least a half a dozen times. Where you're just like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Why am I looking at the client and her naked body at the same time? Whew! I'm exhausted. I'm an old man.
I'm thinking about, I've seen women naked in the shower. I've been invited to stay over and fix the problem in the morning. Yep. Had a lady answer the door in a negligee one day, and I'm like this. Say lots of naked people out of the shower and suds, because you're in a building like that, in a townhouse complex where they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And I walk outside and I'm spinning the 12-inch valve under the street, because I'm like, I don't know where the main shutoff is. Fuck it, I'm killing the whole block. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. And people come out in a towel, and you're like, And then the Chevy Chase line, can I borrow your towel? My car just hit a water buffalo. Has to come out. Got to say it. And then you're like, yeah. But it's not like a Hustler episode. People are like, everybody wants to bang the plumber. Guys, stop. You know what? No. In a very long career, you'll get 5-6 occasions where you're like, you'll miss a subtlety where some chick will come out and say something. You're like, and then you'll get one that just, they're standing naked and you're like.
You won't realize what you said until you're like 20 minutes from the dump.
Yes,
You'll be like,
that's right.
Wait a second.
Sorry. Yeah. And then you're like, no. It's not what you think it is. You're not like ripping your clothes off being like, I can't believe it happened. Yes. No. When you see someone naked in the shower by mistake, she screams, you scream, you're red, she's red. It's not like, bow, wow.
Listen,
how you doing, baby?
That is never, I don't care what anybody says, that's never by mistake.
No. Because
women are
coming over.
Too particular about their.
Now, I will admit, since I've been single, you do notice these things more often, though, Bob.
Whatever. That's just because you're horny.
That's true, but it's the emitting pheromone. Yeah. Nah, it's never. I mean, you go to a main sewer backup. You're not like, hey, baby, how you doing?
There's been studies done that married men put off more pheromones than single men. Just so you know.
Yeah, probably. If you're content and you're happy, then.
The water's on, Benji. Yeah.
Bob's a hero.
I don't believe you.
Ben doesn't believe me. I don't believe you.
Turn the tap
Turn it on, brother. Turn the tap on. It's not on full blast.
Bob,
What?
we don't have water only on this column here.
You're not what? You're not going to have any water. You can't rent these rooms, whatever these numbers are, from bottom to top. Yeah, they're off market until we say otherwise.
Now, Bob,
so you won't have any.
Another 3/4 valve up top and put a PEX jumper in between that crappy shark bite system. Then, because all he has to do is repair the existing leak, and that would take him another circus. He'd go up to the next floor and be like, "Is that a pair of women's underwear wrapped around the whole thing, holding it together?"
I was trying to find something outside, see if anything unusual with the chimney.
There's no bird's nest or anything weird in there?
Yeah, nothing weird. On top, at least.
No, we're going to have to run the camera down and see what's going on. That's super weird.
Yeah. From top? Right.
Yeah. So we'll let everything sort of run for a bit. Do you want to test a few rooms, Benji? Like this column is out.
Bob, you got a thermal camera?
Water leaking on the side.
Oh, we might have a cross connection up there. But it's on full blast right now. So I'll deal with that drip as soon as I catch my breath. Is that okay?
Okay, so
I always tell people, the gray in the beard isn't added.
Jimmy melted the pipe.
Look at the pipe. I don't know. I don't know what happened yet, Ben. I have no idea. It's super weird.
Okay.
I don't know what happened yet.
You got a thermal camera, Bob?
And so, yeah. But the boilers are off right now.
Well, probably just had to leak the fire.
So just above that, I can't reach it because it's like here's the floor and there's actually a hole in the pipe. So when we pull it out, I'll show you that hole where it literally melted through.
That's impressive. If that's caused by the boiler, that's their concern. They're worried about a water leak. You guys could have burnt the building down.
That the chimney's right there.
The boiler's ready.
Not yet.
No.
I'm just gonna let them dry out for a bit because I got soaked.
Yeah.
So give me like half an hour for things to dry out.
Okay.
And then we'll turn on the boilers and see what happens.
Okay.
Did everybody just check out? Are you back down to like 20% or something?
No, I still have another 60 rooms.
Oh, nice.
People are waiting for the water to come back on.
Okay, well, the water's on. There's no hot. Well, you might have hot water. Maybe. That what's ever left in the tanks, but I doubt it.
Oh, my God. Then all the rooms got to be flipped. They got to be cleaned. Oh. I see boiler refit, and this turns into the canary of the world. You're like, thank you, Jesus in heaven. Thank you, buddy, for the money.
Exactly right.
Because somebody else's emergency is our gold mine.
It's funny, we have water in the building now, but we don't have any hot water yet.
The plumber is revered like a god. We'd like to offer you a free presidential palace stay for you and your family. I have 5 children. How many?
Exactly. That's how this works. Look at Val cleaning up. I made such a mess. Val cleaning up with a shovel.
I was like, is that a normal way in Canada to prep tubs like that? You're like, no. No, it's not.
That's insane, man. I do want to mention that we've obviously crossed the hour mark, and I've obviously figured out how to do the 4-hour chat.
Yeah, because I'm like, I remember my lives with World of Electricians. I'd be like, here we're at an hour, and I'm like, the little thing would count down across the top, and I'm like, bye, and then blink, out it would go. It
happened all the time.
I thought because of us and our political agenda that we would get removed. My tinfoil hat is under here. I've actually got it woven into my brain now. My conspiracy theories. Yeah, I'm amazed I'm allowed on the internet still. Isn't it funny how they shadow ban you and clip you, though? Because you say one thing wrong. And I'm like, I was listening to some music yesterday. Art, you could say whatever you want. You want to show Michelangelo's David? Full nude? No problem. You're looking at a naked man's junk. Yeah, but it's art. And I'm like...
Yeah, right? Yeah, but that's the slippery slope, right?
Bob said something. Oh, I better call the Instagram police. Clip his wings. And you're like, right? Yeah, well, I'm flagged big time. My other account is restricted for another 3 months because people are so sensitive.
Oh, you actually got restricted?
Yeah, my other account did. That's why I had to go on the Turbo 2.0 because I can't go live on the other plumbing account. I just got out of it and some other dickhead, and I don't care. It is what it is. Trust me, if I lived my life by Instagram, I'd be like, seriously? No.
Yeah.
People are so cute. I'm like, make sure you got 1 million followers and people press like on you because that's your self-worth.
Yeah.
No.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is.
What's going on with the world?
And it ain't getting any less. The European Union just passed a law. The entire European Union, they're going to monitor free speech. And I'm like, that's the exact opposite of free speech, right? Well, yeah, but it can't be hate speech, can't. I'm like, hate speech, free speech. I'm like, it's free speech. You could say whatever you want. Somebody's going to be insulted that the sky is blue today. I don't like blue. And I don't care if you like blue, but I don't like it. And I'm going to make a report about it. It's insane. Yep. Bob's in that sexy room. Every mechanical room looks like this. Munted insulation.
One.
Yep. And Bob's like, fire the boilers up. Bob will find 3 Canadian geese melted inside of it with the camera tomorrow. I'd be like, what the fuck is this? You're like, well, the top was off for... The last contractor had the top off for 3 months, and he'll find this wishbone thing in there.
It is obviously it's been super heated. For whatever reason. Weird.
Oh, I've already had my breakfast, Bob, while I was eating. While I was eating, I was enjoying watching you work. I really wish part of my harem would come over, though, and refill my coffee.
Oh, you got one of those?
I have a harem, yeah. So the lady across the road, she's a hairdresser. So she gets her hair cut by a buddy of mine. So he says to her, they don't know each other. He says to her, so you're a hairdresser, what's the gossip? She's like, I don't really have any. And he's like, oh, that's disappointing. She's like, well, actually, do you know this guy Turbo? And I've known him for 32 years here. Like, we have spent hours and days talking, like, so much. And he's like, I know of him. And so she's like, he's got a harem of women. I'm like, and he's inside? He's like, what? Because he's like, he calls me up. He's like, he said a bunch of not nice things. Like, he was mad at me. And I'm like, what's going on? He goes, have you been holding out on me? He's a married dude. And he's like, have you been holding out on me? You're not telling me stories? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, neighbor lady across the road, the window peeker. I'm like, Becky? He's like, yeah. She says you have a harem of women. I'm like, hey, anybody in here? There never is. It's just me. And I'm like, well, my buddy Rob, his girlfriend, 55, big boobs, blonde, comes over all the time, pops in. Girl that I lived with, blonde, big boobs, 34, Alex, she comes over all the time. I've got 2 Airbnb cleaners. You think the vacuum cleaner would give it away? They come and go all the time, 30 years old, gorgeous women. So the cleaners that show up, and I'm like, bunch of women. I'm like, so I'm going through, I'm like, yeah, that's about 9 women. I'm like, there's the harem. Nobody really cleans up when they leave, though, I find.
My fucking pump's not working, Rob. You're talking about women.
Bob's having it. Well, and then imagine, here's where Bob right now, this is a win. Imagine Pete doing this, because he'd be so frustrated. To Pete, it's lucky for Pete because. Yep. This is a shitty service call for a guy to have to go on, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, look at the domino. You're looking at the concrete, and you haven't even got to the source of the problem yet, because you're like, something's wrong with the boilers, because if that's what the cause is for melting that, you're like, holy shit. Yeah, you got to sort that out. That's like we're stay till it's done kind of thing. Now you look at it, because culpable deniability, which you don't have anymore. You turn it on, you leave. You're a gas contractor, boiler contractor.
No.
You fucking own it.
I own it.
Yep.
As soon as you fucking touch it, that's how that goes.
Well, and this right here, this is exactly why. Now Bob's got some other red herring going to fall out of his pant leg, and he's like, fuck. Didn't cause it, wants to just go relax. He had some shit to do today, and this wasn't it.
No, why don't I not have power to my fucking pump? No. It's not one thing.
Yep. We had these kids' books. If you give a mouse a cookie, it's going to want a napkin, and then it's going to want a glass of milk. And then because it's 8, it's going to want a nap, and it's going to want a pillow, and it's going to, it keeps going. These rabbit hole calls, I always love them. You get into the acceptance, and then when you get home tonight, you're like, 12 hours? You're like, that's $3,000 in labor. Woo! Bob's got his hands up like he's going to Six Flags with a roller coaster ride. And he's like, oh, show me the money, baby. We should have dollar bills on our hands.
Show me the money.
Bob's like, fucking pump's not coming on. And then Bob unwires the pump, and he plugs it into a power cord so he can make sure the pump's operational. He's going to verify the contactor. And he's like, there's some bullshit part. What's flame rollout switch, maybe? Because you got to start the pump sequence of operations. Bob's doing math in his head right now going, checklist. Fuck.
No.
And Turbo's in my fucking head yapping away, and he's like, I just want to fix them.
You shut the fuck up for 2 seconds. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it. Run a power cord off the light to power the pump. You're like, fuck it. Yep. I saw a single phase pump connected once to 3-phase power. That was pretty funny. One of the phases was taped over, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, I'm like, can you do that?
That's my problem right there.
Wow.
These things melted.
Yep. Holy shit.
So this whole phase was raining, covered my boiler, fried my...
Oh, yeah. Because of the water flow coming down, because it was the pinhole. So imagine if that's all, looking at the domino, the boiler turned on, it never shut off, it superheated it, right?
Yeah.
Melted the hole in the pipe, and then it caused its own problem.
Yeah.
And now you got the electrical, pretty much replace that insurance-wise, if we were doing an insurance call. We would replace every electronic contactor on that fucking boiler, because they're like, it got wet, you need new everything.
Yeah.
And that's where you go,
exactly right.
I don't have a spare boiler, guys, like we're kind of fucked here. Is that that place where we replaced the boiler?
Yeah, there you go, baby.
Yeah.
Except it's that one. It's fried.
Wow.
So, yeah, the money pit.
Bob's going to Frankenstein one boiler, and he's going to take parts from that boiler on the left, and he's going to put them over to the right, and he's going to make a Frankenstein version of one boiler. And that's going to take Bob probably 2 hours to rewire it, and he's going to be like, "Oh, they don't have hot water tonight."
You saw the ladies that were pissed that they couldn't have a shower.
Well, they could have a shower. It's just third world cold water in-out shower. And then you put it on the heating vent to warm up the towel. We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a hooker shower in the sink. You can clean up, but you're just not going to get a date.
Good.
Really?
I found it. It's fucked. Anyway,
I found it. So this
6 months to get a new boiler.
Try all this electronics.
So anyway.
So because everything got soaked, all these electronics are soaked. So I just got to rewire this.
Okay.
And then you'll have heat.
Sure sounds easy when you say it like that. I'll just rewire all of this. And he's like, those parts look, that we have a technical saying, fucked.
Ben is one of my best friends in the whole world. How long have we known each other, Ben?
Too long.
Too long. So.
And right now, Ben's like, I fucking
years?
hate Bob.
Yeah.
Hate Bob.
15 years.
Hate Bob.
He's always stressed when I show up, and he's always less stressed when I leave.
Yep.
I don't know what that says about me.
It said a lot.
Bob calls him Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit crazy. So yeah, I will. I've got a new junction box in my truck, and so we'll get that up and going.
This is where Bob turns into a plumtrician, and then Bob takes
What are you
pictures
gonna
of
do?
the contractor. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Who are you gonna get out? Who are you gonna get out on
Everyone's been in
Sunday?
your hotel.
Really?
Yes.
Fix your problem?
No.
Oh.
You want to be comic relief and go do it with your staff.
Yeah. Can you hand me that green screwdriver, please? And you're like,
Are we worried that the water got in there and went there?
The fact that melted is super weird. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know why. I don't think it's a Sunday morning problem.
Okay.
I think it's probably been a year and a half problem.
Yeah.
And it just happened on Sunday morning. Because that whole pipe from top to bottom is charred.
Yeah.
Like charred. So, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. So I'm going to let this dry out a bit more, and then I'm going to reconnect this jumper, and then...
Do you want me to get Val to put a fan in here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give my Colombian drug lord
Bob's
something
going
to
to be
do.
bypassing a few safeties on the boiler that we won't talk about.
Isn't that the truth?
We've hardwired the contactor.
Don't...
Doesn't work, so we're making our own, a light switch. Yeah. All to save the hot water for the building.
I don't endorse anything I'm about to do.
Yeah, I know. That's why the safety
Don't
stuff,
do it.
people, all this and that, and you're like,
If
yeah, like I say,
if you work for somebody, don't
Yep.
do it. If you work for yourself, don't.
only because Bob owns the company, he's like, I'm pretty sure, and then Bob's going to do this. He's not going to do it live, but he's like, if I touch the green wire and the blue wire together, I'm pretty fucking sure. And he's like this. And then he hears the fan come on. He's like, woo! He's also done it where he's gone, poof. And he's like, fuck. Okay, I think it was the blue one.
I've done the poof thing more often, but I haven't done the poof thing in like a decade. But because I did the poof thing so much, I know.
Well, the poof thing is how you're like, every once in a while I'll wire something up and I'm like, holy fuck, I just changed everything. I'm like, and I call it the electrician's test. You flip the light on and I go, click.
Yeah.
You look over, you're like, all the lights on the board are on. When I wired my hot tub, and I'm like, the only thing I was uncomfortable, I didn't have that one connector, and I'm like, I soldered them together. And the people on the electrical parts, I'm like, I was soldering the wire together with fucking lead solder. I still have my torch out, and I'm like, I electrical taped it, because I'm like, it's a number 6 wire. The wires, I don't have them big enough. I needed to buy a connector, and I'm like, all the lip service. So I'm like, look I'm in my hot tub and it's okay. It's my hot tub.
Yeah,
I'm
but
enjoying my hot
that's
tub. I'm like, yeah, maybe I never go get the connector, but I'm like, but I should.
it. I didn't feel nothing, pal.
Look we got Victaulic, ProPress, solder fittings. Right now, Bob's working in heaven because he has all of the piping systems: chlorinated polyvinyl chloride, CPVC. He's got PEX. He's got probably has some Buchanol in that building.
I should literally do a
shark bite.
A fucking. We should do a class in here because you're right.
Yep. Every
we have
fitting
our,
known to
we have
man
our
is in
unions.
there. Yep.
We have
wrench
threaded,
fittings, reduced copper fittings. There's a
solid.
cast iron. There's a silica cast iron valve back there, lower and to the left. A butterfly valve where I'm like, and the hot water eats everything. It destroys everything. Look at the wheat fittings, and you can never get ahead of it. And then different size tanks because you got what you got. Yep.
Even turbo nose. We put 36s on those right there.
Yep.
They still leak.
Yeah. And you're like, can't get any tighter than that. You're going to break the fitting. And you're like, you're going to break a 2-inch fitting? Yeah, you are. You got VFD pumps, right? You got non-atmospheric boilers. You got atmospheric boilers that are fan assist. And right now, Bob wants to switch them all over to a 6-pack of Navians on the wall. A little carrier system he's going to build.
That's what we're going to do, actually.
Yep. There's $100,000.
It won't be me. It'll be the boys that do it, probably.
Yep. You're like, there's $100,000. We're going to reconfigure the room.
Yeah, we talked about it when we were going to do this one, but we couldn't. They only wanted to do half, and you can't. You can't make them halfway.
The problem, and like say, when they make those financial decisions, it's a poor choice.
Right.
We're going on the second hour of the live, by the way. We'd like to thank the sponsors. Bob's a Rigid fan, so Bob will be talking about Rigid a little bit if he uses a press gun or anything, but he's not utilizing any of those today. He did Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been so he's got a Milwaukee cut roll gear. Somebody was asking me the other day about roll gear. They never see the lady anymore, and I'm like, I don't know where she is. And I'm like, their social media stopped right around COVID, and I'm like, I don't know. Smooth Precision.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank Roll Gear for being part of this sponsor of the program. That Klein 13-in-1 or 15-in-1.
Yeah.
All we run as well, and the Klein meters, Klein safety glasses. So we got to get the sponsor stuff in. We have at Turbo. We run the Klein Power Bank, which is ironically a flashlight as well, and it reduces this. Oh yeah, this thing powers for days. Klein is one of our major supporters.
I forgot about my Rigid or my Milwaukee. My Milwaukee light is still going strong up there in that room.
The best invention in the last little bit is the LED light for the tradesman. Screwdrivers, all the stuff, everything turns, this and that. But the LED technology for us, that's the game changer of our industry. Cordless tools, I mean, Bob's been around, same as me. He remembers the first cordless drill, the Makita.
Mine was a Bosch. I spent $400 on it. Yeah.
And it lasted probably 20 screws, and there was no impact gun. It just stripped the fucking screw. And you're like, ah! And it was always when it's stripped, right? When the head's sticking out, and you're like, fuck!
Yep.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass.
And now the Ugga Dugga, done. Kids don't know the pain. Don't know the pain.
No, it's true.
Young kids don't know. Technology, LED lights, power banks, power sources. I run the FlexVolt, the DeWalt. Wow. And what's another one we could kiss ass to a little bit? Oh, Diablo. I got the Diablo cast iron blades. They suck balls. Didn't like them. Tried them. I'm like, guys, I got the cast iron blade that you're using. We got a Steel Demon blade the other day for my skill saw. I'm like, buy this fucking blade. Because I'm like, I thought I was cutting 1/4-inch plywood. And it was 1/4-inch plate steel. And I'm like, Rael's like, we went through probably 30 Sawzall blades. I shit you not. And Rael's like, I finished the job with this one blade. I'm like, it's all fucked. I'm like, what was it? He goes, it was a Diablo Steel Demon Carbide blade. I'm like, I watched him. I'm like, throw the blade out, start over, keep going, throw it, like, keep going. We got to get the job done. I left him to go get more blades. He goes, the munted blade. He goes, it was in the bottom, done. And then he goes, I finished the rest of the job with one blade. And I'm like, because he'd cut about a foot and then throw the blade away. Cut about a foot. And I'm like, whatever that blade is, buy a case of them, even if they're worth $100 a blade. So I thought Diablo was kind of shitty, and then I'm seeing some redemption in their carbide stuff. Kind of like the big hole blades that Milwaukee and DeWalt came out with. The carbide, I don't know if it was substandard, but cut through 1,000 screws or nails. Bullshit.
Yeah, but that, like you say, that's most of that stuff is rigged, right? Like
marketing. Oh, you break a tooth off, the welds are bad. You're like, who's paying for the end user? We are, right? I'd rather spend $1,000 on an 1 9/16 twin blade for roughing in a house. I'd rather spend $1,000 and have that thing chew through carbon steel all day, like ready rod, rebar, doesn't matter. Can you find them? No. Every rough-in we do, we just go buy a new set of blades now. The switchblade, the switch pack, you know what I mean?
We used to do I used to have a blade guy, didn't you?
Yep. Yes. Oh God, yeah. In Vancouver.
That he would come by. He would dump them all for me and dump them in that wax shit. Yes. And you're like, okay.
Yep. And then when they come back, good as new. So I mean, you're probably the same. We probably have $10,000 in hole saws in blades.
Yeah.
And name it, metal saws, and then you go buy a 6-inch one because you got to cut through the side of a building, and you're like, oh my God, yeah, it's a disaster. See now, if I was in the hot tub right now doing this live from there,
you would have been melted by now.
I'd be a withered prune.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a live go on for 2 hours. I'm gonna have to hook my battery thing up. And I don't know if you saw it this morning, but I was a little bit off. I put my phone into the water. I'm like, I heard the music stop, and I'm like, what happened? I look down, I'm like, the bottom of the phone is in the hot tub, and I'm like,
uh-oh.
I'm a genius. And I'm like, I heard the music change. I'm like, that's muffled underwater. I don't have the waterproof iPhone. Pain in my ass.
And it didn't work?
Oh, it works. I'm talking on it now. Ooh, that looks done.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Bob's wiring now.
Yeah, don't mind me. If you see me start shaking, then smash the phone screen for me.
Oh man, I worked with a guy. I worked with a guy years ago. His name was Ron DePatty, and he's under a house. And it was the guy was I'm not kidding you. The guy sold religious antiquities. His house was crazy. He had these 4-foot square glass tiles he imported from Europe. Glass. They were see-through glass. So when you put the thin set on, you had to put a special coating on it so it didn't show the concrete through. The guy that I worked for didn't put any slab controls on. He didn't believe in them. Anyway,
really?
The zone valve failed and it overheated the floor.
Yeah.
Cracked all the tile in the guy's master room. It was $400,000 in tile. He's under the house, and in the middle of the job, he's under the house, and the lights flicker, and you hear this, and all the lights in the house go out. And I'm like, and I heard him get electrocuted. He was doing the 240 heat control downstairs for the electrics, and I heard him, and then all the lights go out, and I'm like, after he calmed down a little bit, he's like, can you get a flashlight? This was 25 years ago. I'm like, this guy blew up more shit. And I'm like, Ron, you're just not good at electrics. Stop doing it. Kaboom. I'm like, and he blew up shit all the time. Controller would explode in his hands. I'm like, we don't want to see Bob blow a controller up. But everybody's staying around. They're watching the Daytona 500, not for the race. Everybody watches for the crash. They're like, oh yeah, Bob, touch that contactor.
Dude, it's already wired, baby.
Is it working? Is it on? Bob's waiting for the fire. Is the pump working?
Pump is working.
Oh, pumps on. Now Bob's chasing the ace. There was some detrimental event that happened. Pumps working, flow switch is activated. We're going through the sequence of control. Bob's going to check the flow switch. We're going to check continuity. I hear shit clicking.
Go, baby. Quit fucking around.
Come on, man. Fire up. And then you're like, high limit reset. Click. I tell my guys too, I'm like, yep, check your continuity sequence in between your firing controls. And if you're lucky, it's the first thing you touch. If you're unlucky, there's 19 of them in series and you find the 19th one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love those. The old pennant.
I hate these things.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking-
Oh, fuck, are they garbage. Heat exchangers plug up. The flame rods are shit. Luckily, though, they're a 3-stage burner, so you can take, 2-stage. You can shut half of the burner set off, so you can run it on one stage if you had to.
Which is what we do it quite often, right?
Yep. Well, you need to.
Frankly.
Right? When something fucks up, you're like, well, I don't have a hot surface igniter. But we got one from the other side, so technically. I've seen both gas valves wired together. I've seen the craziest shit where you're like, who? And then they leave it, and you're like, you're running this off of the fucking igniter from the other side, and this burner is how big? This thing must explode. I'm like, there's been in Whistler, there was a fire door that got blown off of a mechanical room. I heard the explosion. I was working at a complex one over, and it blew the mechanical room door off.
I believe it, man.
It's awesome.
There's some dumbasses in this world.
Poor Rael, when I was working with him, I fired that 212 kilowatt boiler in reverse in the mechanical room. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. And I'm like, can you hit that switch there? And he's like, but the burner's outside the boiler. I'm like, no kidding. Back up a little bit when you hit the switch. But stay close enough that you can shut it off if you have to. He's like, holy fuck. I'm like, you'll never see this in your career again. I don't know anybody that's ever wired a boiler backwards outside other than me. On a job. Like you right now, it's like, take the pennant apart.
Yeah, it's like, you would think.
And this is where you figure shit out, right? The hotel's sitting there and you're like, everybody's checked out. The cleaners want to do their job. And the domino, if Bob doesn't get the hot water on, they can clean the rooms, just not well. And Bob has the parts he has in his truck and around the other boiler, and that's it.
You know what I hate about the stupid P600 is that I can never get it to fit black.
And then again, imagine Pete doing this. Because the problem, the funniest thing with this is the water leak is a big deal. But then it's the resultant damage of the whole flood, and then now it turns into this. And then if you send the junior guy out, he can fix the water leak, put a shark bite valve on, go through all that. Then when it turns into the boiler, you're done.
Yeah, that's
and then
where it ends, right?
They walk away fixing the water leak, but then the resultant they can't fix. And it's like the hotel can keep opening, and they can still make revenue, and they've got to cover the cost of your repair, right? And that's what they need to do. And that's why it's important you stay on and keep going. And the tenacity. At some point, Bob's going to hit a part where he's like, I can't fix it. There's nothing I can do. Like, I'm missing this, and this part is blown up. I can't jump it. I'm done. And you're like, yeah. And then Bob goes, now I did mention that we need to refit the entire system, Remember? Gave you the quote for it. For the cheap seats in the back.
Billy! Oh no, the big boss is here.
Uh-oh. Oh shit.
Boiler's okay?
Well, so the thing, it rained like crazy in here,
Yeah.
and that blew up. Have you seen the pipe up top there?
Now.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know why that pump or that boiler or that pipe is melted. it's got to be, like I was saying to Ben, a couple of years, yeah. And they had
Terrifying.
literally 50 pounds. Who built this? I don't know. They had 50 pounds of concrete in that ceiling. Wow. For no reason. Like, I literally don't know. So I'm just, everybody, we have water finally. It's probably still dribbling up there, Ben. Yeah. And then I'm going to get these boilers going and then try and figure out what the hell's going on.
All righty. Good thing they put a drain in here.
Good thing there's a drain in here. Not all of them have them, Bill. You know that.
Hey, thanks, Paul.
You got it. Pass the test.
When the head guy comes in, you're like, "Yep, water's on." He's like, "Yes," and you're like, working on the boiler. Bob's got his World of Electricians shirt on, so he's. We'd like to thank the World of Electricians at this point in time for the Bob and Bob show. Yeah. Proud sponsor thereof. Yeah, exactly. I got my banner behind me. Sorry, I didn't mean to flash everybody there. This is the Friday edition World of Electricians hat. This is the limited edition World of Electricians hat with the bold print and the WOE crew. Only 2 people have those. And then we've got my new favorite one, the World of Electricians, the cannabis hat. Yeah, cannabis. It's illegal in America, but legal here. So confusing. So confusing.
You can tell Abel he owes me.
Yeah, he does. He does. I'll mention to him, be like, Abel, stickers. He's got some Canadian stickers, and he's got some good stuff coming.
I've seen it. His stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Which is why I have this.
Yeah,
and I have a hat.
He's a great designer. Some of his stuff he's brilliant at. And I'm like, I tell him, I'm like, you missed your calling. You should be a graphic designer instead of an electrician. Okay, you ready for it? I'm looking at the thing up top here. It's 10:59. We're going on in 1 minute. We're going on the 3rd hour. Woo! Longest Instagram live in history. I'm going back in the hot tub. My back is getting sore again. I'm like, we're going on the 3rd hour. I'm going to hit my massage chair. I'm going to put my one piece on. My poor neighbors.
Your poor neighbors is right.
Yeah, I'm putting cladding around the hot tub so they don't see my naked ass. I did 2 sides, and then the 3rd side, I looked over and see the lady looking over, and I'm standing up looking at the sun. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll cover that last part in. I look back, I'm like, I wave. They uncomfortably wave.
I'm sure they love you. Sit down.
No. My neighbors love Tool and Metallica. That sauna sometimes gets thumping. Oh, yeah, I feel bad for them. The sauna, or the hot tub now, what I do is I put the earpieces in. So what happens is they can't hear my music. Because it could be Irish folk music. Could be opera.
I have noticed that about you, Rob.
The music is random. Very rarely country and western. Sometimes.
It is very random.
But it's random. Yeah, I like random music. Okay, what are we doing? Why is that boiler not working?
Because I got a breaker off somewhere. I got to go to the breaker room. I'm only getting 120 volts to my 240 volt fucking...
The dead short happened when it exploded. Bob goes to the mechanical room and he's like, holy fuck, look at the breaker panel. He uses a broom handle. You've done it. You use a broom handle to turn the circuit on. Click. I fucking guarantee you, I'm like standing in water. I'm like, oh man.
It's crazy.
Turn the water on, but you got to do this. You got to stand on those milk crates.
Hey Val, can you come open the electrical room outside for me, please?
Yep, that's where Bob's going.
Mayday. Val.
We got a 417, 417. It's a code blue.
We're in code yellow now. We call it code yellow. We're past
code yellow. It's a DEFCON level 3 in the hotel.
Yeah. We popped some breakers. So great.
I love it. I'm not sure if Ray's
Are
still
we
on.
really?
We're on the third hour, Bob. Third hour.
Third
3
hour.
hours. We're going on the
Holy
third hour.
cow.
We haven't talked for 3 hours. People have got popcorn. There's a couple guys in here. There's some people that are going pretty good. Yep.
Did you get my message, Val?
It's because of the sponsor talk. It's because of Rigid. It's because of Milwaukee,
Yeah.
DeWalt. We
That's why they're on here?
want to make sure we don't leave anybody out. Bob's doing his thing. I'm part of the sponsor package. We'd like to thank Klein Industrial Tools for the lighting product. And we'd like to thank New Era for underwear. Got to get those guys in. I use Saks myself. It's
I don't
like
even know who those are.
Bob's like, how do we get to that? It's Sunday.
How do we get to men's
Bob was
underwear?
holding a goat 3 hours ago.
Are we going to do what?
He doesn't even know.
No.
He doesn't
He
even
doesn't
know.
want to know. You don't want to know.
It's Commando. That's why he doesn't know.
Okay. We're going to check out the secret rooms. The
Why
fucking
is it-
room.
You know why it hums in there? Because they don't know the words.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, what?
Oh, there you go. Oh,
Did it
No,
hold?
it's still on.
Right now, there's a spark show in the mechanical room.
that's one, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, that one's done.
Yep. Bob's gonna be unwiring it, and he's gonna be snipping the end off of a
Might be down on
plug.
that one, like I said, I had a good fireworks.
Yeah, the maintenance guy just told me they had, when he was in there, they had a fireworks show with everything sparking off, so who knows what the hell they've done.
And this is when Bob's like, "Okay, I couldn't get it to work, but here's the bill."
Oh, I'm going to get it to work. You just watch. Hang on.
There's a TSN turning point where you're like, "I can't fix it. I hate that." When you go so far, you're like, you get to it, you see it, and you're like, "Yeah, I don't have one of these. I can't make it. I'm sorry, but this is where I stop and go, I'm gonna go play with a goat."
Come on, baby.
Waiting for the fan to come on. You got lights coming on? Your fan wall engaged? Fucking hate those fan walls. You gotta push that little reset button in there, Bob. There's two of them.
Bet you my igniters are out.
Yeah,
Shit.
probably. Reset. I hear the fan. Come on, baby. If we hit 10,000 ohms on those restrictor plates, then on they come. You're in for
Yeah.
two igniters. I'm like, look at the shit that goes on. Right now, Ray's got popcorn. He's in Minnesota, so he's probably got 2 feet of fucking snow.
Right?
Yeah. Ray's in the province. Ray's in the state of 10,000 lakes. So Ray is just south of where I grew up. Because Ontario and Minnesota, they're over top of one another. Do you have any heat? Is it working?
No.
Come on, Bob.
The igniters are fucked.
You're going to have to take the igniters out of the other boiler, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do something.
Best thing about that is Bob's got 2 boilers side by side. He can Frankenstein one to fix the other one. Until he gets to a point where there's no more parts to take, and you're like, yeah, those igniters are made out of glass, like a glass slipper, and you're like, it's like that Doctor episode, the game where you can't touch the side. Slow, yeah.
I
this is
know.
good.
They're ridiculous.
Yep. You touch it, and you're like, you didn't. It's like remember when you used to change the light bulbs out in the fucking floodlights, and you're like, you touch it, poof, and it blows up. You're like, what the fuck happened? Did you touch the light? Yeah, it's done. How many fires were caused by those 500-watt halogen bulbs? You'd heat a room. The drywallers would use the lights to dry the room out. Yep. Now LED, no heat. Wobble lights are bullshit. Yeah. Oh, yeah, those fucking things. And those screws strip out. Those boilers need to be taken apart a billion times. And then you're like, I'm the guy that's been in here working. Where the fuck did the screws go?
Right? It's
Yep.
fucking ridiculous.
Yep, you take it apart once. It's like IKEA. It's all wobbly now. You're like, why would they make it out of such cheap shit steel? Yeah, I know. Wobble lights are horrible. Oh, my God. The lighting solutions, like say, it's brilliant now, what they got going on in the trades. The young kids don't know, with all the shit they've got, the new accessory tools and everything. I just find the specialty tools, at some point Bob's using a rock instead of a hammer because it's just easier. Everybody's really invested in this. There's a couple guys in here that are eating popcorn, watching, drinking, and they're like, Bob's going to get it. Yeah, look at it. Look at that. Fucked. The irony? I got 2 spares in my shop. You want one? Because I did across the road. They got a hotel. I go get it in the shop right now because I cleaned my whole shop out. I go get it. I know exactly where it is. Fucking love it.
I know Isaiah's got one and it's a couple in his truck. He's at Comic-Con right now.
Oh, good. Thanks, Isaiah. But can you get in his truck? And you can't. You can manually light the boiler. You got to fake the control out and get your turbo torch in there, and it'll work. It's just a little dangerous. You can get them hot water for a bit. But the only
Did you say light it with a turbo torch?
Yeah, you can. I've done it where I'm like, I'm going to fake the control out, bypass it, and then jump the boiler, and I'm like, it's only 1.2 million. No problem.
It's got flame sensor, Meathouse. You can't use that here. On this?
Flame sensor, you can hit it with the turbo torch, but you have to put 10,000 ohms on that unit.
Yeah,
because what happens, the computer control it doesn't read the heat because it can't. It reads the 10,000 ohms resistance, and then the unit comes on.
Right.
But then you need to have that flame control. The flame rod has to get hit with the flame. That's where the turbo torch comes in to fake it. I don't know if I'd recommend that. Only in an emergency. If you're like, okay, watch this, and can you open the mechanical room door? Because if this explodes, we want to go somewhere. That's usually when the maintenance guy leaves, and I'm like, I need someone to video this. Can you hold the camera or something? I'm not chicken like that. I'm like, yeah. The liability is huge, though. Thank God I only do it when I'm around. Oh. Bob's like, piece of fine china. Oh, the tungsten
I just
filament.
need 1 out of 4, baby.
Yep. You only need 1. Oh, and then you can plug that into a wall socket. And you're like, will it come on? Love it. Sometimes I like to have them, I pull it out, and then see it come on, then push it in. See if you can get the screws in before it lights up. It gets boring otherwise.
What's the resistance, Rob?
10,000 ohms.
No. On the...
Oh, your continuity?
Yeah.
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
know if it's good or not.
You should hear the audible. Should get a continuity of 1. How much are you getting through it?
Hang on.
You'll get no continuity through it if it's not connected. It may look like it. There's a crack in there, but you'll get 0. You'll get no reading.
Come on, baby. Come on, you know better than that.
Bob's like, come on, baby.
So brand new out of the box, there's 60. This is at 81.
Done. Fire it in.
It's going to work. And because another thing I love about these, they give you these, but when they sell you these...
I know. You got to cut it, and then you're right, you're like, this is the OEM, Original Equipment Manufacturer part. And then you're like, I don't have a Moret. And you're like, now you get your solder gun out because you got that. I've done that. That always pisses me off. Or the capillary tube for the pilot, right? The standing pilot, it would get melted at the end, and you're like, I got a compression ferrule I'm putting on a 1/8-inch aluminum line. No wonder it fucked up. Like aluminum inside the burner tray. Come on. Have you seen the burner tube melted right off and it just a flame shoots in? I love it. Gas fitting is awesome.
It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Well, you look at the effort you go through for your customer, and you're like, wow. But you know you're going to be replacing all these parts anyway. You're like, on and on and on and on. And the computer control can't go to the next firing sequence until you get your resistance on there with your temperature control. Because your computer control inside that fen wall reads the 10,000 ohms. As soon as that happens, it kicks the main burner on. You can fake that out, but I'm like, you have to get a 10,000 ohm resistor in there.
Which I'm not doing, Rob.
Yeah, I don't think Bob's going to do the 10,000 ohm.
No.
And then look at all the screws you take off. You're like, cover plate goes back on, pressure switches. What a pain in the ass. Hey?
Yeah, super user-friendly, Lars. Let's give a shout-out to Lars.
I know.
For the user-friendly pieces of shit.
Yep. Worst boilers probably made. Everybody that's worked on them, and they don't give those fuckers away. It's not like those are $2,000.
No.
The bypass
10,000 bucks.
The sooting of them, I'm like, those boilers were brutal. Bob will be switching those out to a cone configuration, I'm sure, at some point, instead of a downward flow. Everybody just wants to see this thing fire up. Right now, there's 12 guys.
Ow. I'm firing this boiler, so get out of here before it blows up.
Everybody back.
The new one.
We're waiting for the magic, Bob. Walk on water. Come on. I say to Rael, I'm like, be the hero the client needs you to be. Come on, baby.
Where are we at? Come on, you piece of shit.
Thoughts and prayers, everybody. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, send me some thoughts and prayers.
My equivalency when I see the Russian conflict. I'm like, thoughts and prayers.
That's the gayest stuff ever. No, I don't think it's going to go. Valerie. We're going to get carbon monoxide poisoning. We're all going to die. Someday.
No, that's true.
Not today.
Yeah. Not today. Well, maybe.
Not today. Yeah, maybe.
Now, if you're disappointed at Bob's inability to repair the boiler, we completely understand. But you know what? It's a human thing. Bob just accepts the defeat. He'll go home and think about what he could have done. And then the spare parts that he has at home that probably would make it work. But Bob doesn't accept the defeat lightly. He'll be grumpy about this for a week. And then they'll be like, Bob, do we need to replace the boiler again? It's like, yes. And each thing is unrelated, completely different. What fucked the boiler this time is the overheating on the top floor, the charred piping. They got a great deal on the original install of the plumbing, though. No luck.
Oh, this one's going to work.
Bob didn't bring his gremlin. Bob's pissed off now. He's like, oh.
That one's going to work. That one looks good.
Is that 4 out of 4?
These are new igniters for that boiler. We're getting closer, Bill. I appreciate the audience, though.
Yep. Now we're going on the 3rd hour, and you'll notice that's the 4th time that the general manager of the hotel has come in and went, Bob, can I get you anything? Would you like a donut, Bob? And Bob's like, get the fuck out of here.
Nobody's offered me anything.
Wow. I get people come in, they're like, are you hungry? I'm like, I'm pissed off and I want you to fuck off. And they're like, and I'm like, you know what? This will go faster when you get out of here. So I want you to, like, off you shall fuck. Go that way. You tell your client that's paying your bill to fuck off, and they're like, they do it happily because they're like, you're clearly agitated, and I'm like, leave me alone.
Listen, I want some credit for doing this all live.
I know. That's why it's impressive. People are watching. They're like, I've lifted
No.
my loincloth a few times, and I'm like, no, I didn't want to be flashy about it, but just saying.
No
This is
break.
the highlight. Like, everybody has a vested interest. There's like 15 guys right now watching. 2 guys are having a shit right now going,
Ouch.
is it weird that I'm pooping and watching these guys? And it's like, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But everybody does it. It's okay. It's a natural thing.
This thing is hot as F. It still wouldn't like.
Oh. Now, this is the point in time where we asked Bob, did he have the gas shut off? Bob's like, fuck, I did shut the gas
is
off.
on. Fuck you.
Oh,
Fuck you.
I've done that, where I'm like, it should fucking work. And then you're like, oh yeah, first thing I did was shut the gas off. And you look around, you're like, did anybody see that other than me? No. Have I done it? Oh yeah. You're like, everybody's done it where they're like, oh, wow. The best is live. Like, say, you just go back and you're like, what is going on? We all want to know. Come on, Bob. Bob's going to get this on one way or the other. Bob will get an electric torch, electric heater, and put it in there to heat the water. He'll be like, fuck it.
Yep.
We're going to plug in space heater. We're going to use that as the heat exchanger heater. Going to take you a week to heat the hot water, and nobody can use it.
But it's warm.
See, I have an electric ass wash toilet, so my charger is integrated into my toilet. Yeah, because people are commenting. There's a bunch of guys that are like, I had to shit through this. I'm like, it's your morning constitution. You have your coffee, you wake up to the Bob and Rob show, and shit's going on. And you're like, you get excited, and out it comes. It's okay. It's a natural thing. And don't push. That's a big one. When you get older, don't push. That's not a muscle you want to flex.
Okay, you fucker.
Yeah. Right now, Bob's trying to see if the squirrel cage is moving fast enough. The, what is it? The Lars boilers have a fan RPM controller, and if it doesn't spin fast enough, locks out.
I know.
Fuck those things. Same shit. Man, oh man. I tell you, put a couple Navians on the wall and you call it a day. Or Wiesmann. NTI as well. We could throw a plug-in for NTI. I have to go get a different hat though. What's Bob doing now? Bob's gonna have to go take a shit. I'm gonna have to take control of this whole thing soon. Bob's like, I'm sitting on a bucket. Come on, Bob. You guys are working?
I got power.
Got power. I should get some kombucha, I'm thinking.
You guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here. We're watching. Everybody's phone batteries are going to die, but we're still on. Bob lost his audio. He's still okay, though. Bob's okay. He just lost the audio. Everybody calm down! Stop freaking out! Bob just lost his audio. It's okay. Bob, we're here for you. Bob didn't get electrocuted, did he? He's got that plug symbol on. Oh, I think Bob's back on. Bob lost the mic for a little bit. Okay, Bob lost the mic for a bit. Hey, Bob, are you okay? Okay, but he was freaking out.
Good.
There's some people that just lost their shit. They had to go have a shower. Because they're shitting and then they had to get into the shower. Ray said that too. Is the gas on? I'm like, fire department's already been there. They shut the gas off to the building. Because Bob was smashing the concrete. There's a seismic valve on the outside of the building that tripped. That's a good service call, Bob. Seismic valve. You see a little red dome. You go, bang! Offsets the ball. $500 service call. I got to check the gas system make sure it's all good. We have no heat, Bob. Is it on? Why do we have no flame?
Yeah, I fired up.
Bob fired it. It's on. Ooh, this is when the maids come in and start sprinkling rose petals at your feet. And you're like, now, all the safeties are bypassed. It's hardwired in. Don't touch a fucking thing. And Bob's going to sit there with popcorn, watching the boiler do its thing. He has to verify sequence of operations. with all the safeties bypassed. You're like, all right, look at, we're just going to leave that screwdriver in there. That's a 5-amp screwdriver.
None of the safeties have been bypassed.
And Bob's like, this is the last fucking igniter. It's the same readings as all of them.
Flow switch is intact.
Oh, I love it. Rollout switches. Checking your air switches on the fucking, you go through the sequencing on there. I'm like, mother of Jesus, a lot of them. And you got all stages going? 3 stages are on? Oh, I love those controls.
I don't know if I can pick it up because this is another fabulous.
Oh, yeah. Genius design. Yep. Unreal. Now, at this point, Bob's going to break out his UEI combustion analyzer, the new Eagle 2, which doesn't require calibration until every 5 years. So the sensors are 5-year tossaways. We'd like to thank UEI for this component of the Bob and Rob program and utilize all your combustion analyzing equipment from Eagle brand UEI equipment. So I have worked on that with the Bold Vid guy, and Christian. Yeah. It takes a lot. I've done 4,000 live videos, so I'm my radio voice comes in, and then I start drawling the words out. And it's all about the highs and the lows. If you want to get onto the Instagram platform and make money off of it, you need to tune into the Bob and Rob Show every week. Bob's got hot water happening now. Yeah, Bob's excited. This is when you throw your back out because you're patting yourself on the shoulder on the way home. And then you're like, you know how many people could have fixed this? Not fucking many. And Bob's like, okay, I'm down to the last 2 things I can check. And that's it. And I go home. Right now, Bob's relying all of everything on a shark bite, little stainless steel toothy thing to slip over the plastic. Ironically, exactly right, and it works. Too. Yeah, I know.
And it works. Right?
You're like, yeah.
And it works.
Yep, does all it needs to do. And I'm like, yeah, unbelievable.
Heating up now.
Have a hot shower on me. Bob's like, yep, I'm the guy. Yep, and a high five. Cleaning staff. Little delay. Who's buying lunch?
Whew. That was a pain in my ass. That was a day.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and then say Bob's like, I got shit to do at home, and he's got his honey-do list, which is now shitstorming. Yeah. I'm going to work on my hot tub area because, that's what I do. I'm trying to create my utopian in the backyard so it allows me to work longer. I should be much more compressed, relaxed more and, hydrotherapy.
How's that working out for you?
And for the harem. Yeah. I have an 8-person hot tub. You'll notice see all the women that are in it. And Becky across the road. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I had I wanted the lounger with these floating jets, and I had to buy that damn thing. Bob's right. In 6 years, it'll be covered in tree dust, and then it'll be not used anymore.
That's exactly where mine is.
Because I'll have to replace the pump, and I'll have to replace the heating coil, and I'll have to replace the ozone generator, and then the contactor, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All that shit. Hot tubs are a disaster. They're a maintenance whore. Yep.
Maintenance whore.
Yes, maintenance
exactly.
whore. Yep. Probably get shit. Right. I'll be banned. I'll be shadow banned for 6 months because of that statement. I'd like to apologize in advance for any offense that I've created. Me and Roseanne Barr are not friends.
Whore is a bad word now? Is that a forbidden word?
I think it probably is. It made the list. I bet you we're being shadow banned right now. I can hear something's happening. There's a knock at the door. It's probably the FBI. Anyway, holy moly, eh?
Holy fuck.
Good fix, Bob. And you know what? You got to roll with those punches because on service calls, you had stuff you were doing. And guess what? Your whole life changes, and your customers looking at you, right? Rail's what now? And I'm like, they didn't call us to have us bow out. They called us to fix it. There's a certain point where you can't fix it, but you go. Luckily, you got 2 systems there, so.
Well, I'm going to go pick up a couple of igniters from another location.
Yep.
And, get all 4 of them going, and then we should be all set.
That's awesome. Hopefully, I love the fact when you're in a small, like I'm in a small town, I've had to go off of clients' boilers, get the spare parts from another customer in the mechanical room, which I have the keys to. I take their parts and I'm like, I'll return them, but I need these for another job. And I'm like, I do that all the time. I've taken parts out of my light, which is like, I need this 2-inch stainless steel puck flange, 4-bolt. And I'm like, I've got one on my light. Rail's like, are you fucking serious? I'm like, yeah, I know exactly where it is. I'm like, I got to unwire my light, spin the flange off. And I'm like, I knew it. I did that, I think, last year. I'm like, I need this part. And I'm like, you can order one, but it's on a Saturday?
No. Yeah. What am I going to do on a Sunday morning? Like nothing.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do. Either you have it or you don't.
But that's where the non-service guys, they walk away. They literally, guys come in. I don't know how many jobs I've been on where you're the fourth guy. And I'm like, and then I laugh when the guy's like, on the side of his truck, it says redefining service as he can't fix it. And I'm like, and then you get me, which is looking like a fucking hillbilly jackwagon where people are like, that guy. And I'm like, yeah, redefining service. So I'm like, yeah, maybe you want to change your advertising slogan? Because when I got to fix your shit, come on. Anyway, we're going to see for Bob. Yep. And Pete right now is probably just clearing the fog away. He's wishing he didn't have those tequila margaritas. Who put tequila in a margarita? Isn't it a strawberry fruity drink?
I don't think they're allowed tequila. I don't think they allow tequila in Lethbridge. I could be wrong, though.
I thought that's where they made it. That's where they import it from in Mexico. Lethbridge is the tequila hub. Bob's like, I didn't know. I'm like,
I don't know.
Smell Pete. Smell Pete. You'll smell like a lemon. You're like, Pete? So the thing is, though, also, too, from Pete's end, it's a good experience for Pete to go through when he's on this call as well. He'd have 15 calls in here. There'd be some FaceTime shit. And you're like, wait. What's wrong? Cut that. Take the control out. You probably would have walked them through it or else just showed up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's how you do it, right?
I wish everything was perfect on a Sunday morning and that the parts were available. But you know what? Get it done.
Yeah, what time is it anyway?
Yeah, 11:30, 12:30. Yeah. Sun's still shining. Go for a drive. Get your parts. Come back. Again, high five the cleaning staff as they're like, you got hot water, but it's like going to take a long time. The recovery's going to
take a long freaking time.
Yeah. Right now, Bob's running at about 400,000 BTU, and he's got a 2.4 million system, and he's like, I'll get you the go, baby, go, but I got to get some more igniters.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right, too.
Oh, man. I did one where I took the gas valve out and I manually lit it. No gas valve. That was the heart. I'll only talk about that on here, and I'm not going to fucking say a word, but I put a flex connector on, took the gas valve out, because I'm like, emergency where the building is going to freeze, and I'm like, do I need the gas valve? I'm like, all I need is the flame going on, and I'm going to sit here and watch it heat up so I can go get the control. But I'm like, it's 40 below. That's what you got to do. Unwrench it, take the gas valve out, and you got a flex connector on, and you manually light it. There are no safety controls. It is a manual gas valve. And you're like, watch this. You're like, nothing controls this other than me. And I say to Rael, when you do this, and you never will, but if you ever do, you don't leave. You watch the temperature control come up because nothing shuts the boiler off except the valve. And I'm like, when you tell people what you're doing, they're like, you what? I'm like, can you think of any other option? And then you sell them on the redundancy package, and you're like, you should put 2 in.
Yeah.
Share the load.
Exactly.
I know. The crazy
That's
shit
insane.
you do.
I don't think I've ever done that, honestly.
Well, you hard pipe it. And you're like, when you say hard pipe, you're like, what else do you do? You're like, okay, I can't get a gas valve. This is it. You're like, well, the whole building's going to freeze, and this will be millions. You're like, we can't go get, what are you going to do? And I'm like, it's going to sound a little crazy, but we'll just unthread the gas valve, and all the electrics don't matter. We need the pump to still make everything work, but you're like, you hold it in, you light it, and the guy's like, what are you doing? I'm like, just never mind. Because if you understood what I was doing, you're like, don't do that. I'm like,
just look away. Look away.
You can see if you can explain to another option, I'm like, glad to hear it. And then you tell people, they're like, you can't do that. I'm like, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm telling you that I had to do this.
Yeah.
Just stand back.
Yeah. Well, that's
control.
part of it, right? Like you
get it done.
The beauty of the internet is everybody's a troll on this is how you do this safely. I'm like, yeah. I understand that completely. And this isn't the everyday, but
Once in a lifetime, you have to do something abnormal.
Yeah.
But there's
You just
guys that
have to,
won't do
right?
it. There's guys that won't go to that level. They'll be like, they'll just walk away and be like, I can't fix it. And I'm like, okay, now every gasfitter watching this is going to shit their pants a little bit. But I'm like, here's what we're doing. What? I'm like, yeah. If you could, again, do you have a 24 volt RA 890 flame control in your truck? I didn't think so.
Right?
No. They don't make them anymore. The little clicky thermistors inside with all the little controls. But this will work. Everything in the gas code tells you can't do this, but it will still work. From a safety standpoint, just understand. You have to shut the main gas off.
If you understand the shit, like you say, that code is written by lawyers and engineers.
That's right. Yes.
To cover everybody's ass, right? Basically.
If you're willing to take the responsibility on, which is why I say, I'm like, I'm going to hook this up so you get your heat on. I'm not leaving it like this. This will operate while the gas valve gets shown, while it shows up. And I'm like, I'm going to operate it. I'll watch the temperature controls because we use Klein tool thermistors. So what we do is we set them and I tape them to the supply and the inlet and outlet. So you watch what the boiler's doing. Once you understand the thermographics and all the bullshit and the glitz and glamour of Instagram, but thermal sensor in and out and monitor your stuff. And you want your return temp on your boiler to come up. And that's when you shut her down. So just acceptable responsibility. And we all do it. You know, you rewiring the boiler. Are you an electrician? And it's like, I could right now hear the union Sparkies going, oh my God, what's he doing? Does it work? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it was a union job, there'd be 18 guys here. Yeah. Actually, there wouldn't be anybody here because it's a Sunday.
No. Well, no,
and they would say,
the foreman
we'll be there Monday at 10.
That's right, with 12 guys. We could do the overtime call out, but we couldn't get the courier to deliver the parts because they're union as well, and they won't cross the picket line.
Yeah.
Some bullshit. Yeah. Anyway,
no,
good morning, Bob.
I do think that unions it's served its purpose. I don't think it's going anywhere, but
well, here's what I explain to people with the union. The union was needed when workers' rights needed to be at the forefront. Now they're bullies and negotiators.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
Everybody, we basically all work for the union because I work for the government. It's all, there's standards of practice that I must maintain in order to operate.
We have employment standards. Yes.
Yeah.
The union,
so what do we need a union for?
It's a second phone book. It's the same when that other company came out and they started a second phone book, the white pages. And then the yellow pages came out. And then there were two phone companies. And then you had to split your advertising budget. And you're like, what? Why do we need a union? To protect the workers' rights. We have the Employment Standards Act, and we have the government, we have workers' compensation. We have all of these layers, and you've just created another layer on top of it to leverage the company for more money. We have a bus strike right now in Whistler, and all the people that rely on the public transit system can't go to work. And so now they're being held hostage by the drivers' union. And I'm like, the company's like at $2.25 a liter for diesel. We're saving more money than God, man. Stay on strike. This is awesome. Because we're still collecting the transit tax. They've been on strike for a month, and the company's like, our coffers are being filled. Ain't nobody talk about that. We're not paying the wages, we're not paying the maintenance, we're not paying the whole bubble. And you're like, yep, but your taxes are still getting paid, aren't they? All of the working from home people, right? Yeah, we're doing
that's
the same
the killer,
work.
right?
Bullshit.
You look at the last 2 years of all this bullshit, which is there wasn't a single government official that took a cutback. In fact, they all got raises.
But that's the thing. It's like, well, we get a bonus, right? All of our money. I'm like, do you think our government can't give enough of it away? I'm like, we're so rich in Canada. We're like, hey, let's support another country. For what? Because we're good people. We can't we can't give our money. It's a little shit.
That's the biggest smear ever. They send $600 million to Nigeria, and Nigeria sends $100 million back to his nonprofit. So it's an arm's length deal. So he's literally
laundering the money.
He's laundering money.
Yep.
And you can't tell me it's any other way.
That's not.
No.
when we're buying oil from an external source and we can produce it ourselves, and the fact that everybody just keeps going along with it, I'm like, wow, like, is this, do you see what
It's
we're
insane.
doing?
Like, literally, like, no, we're not going to use Alberta because that's
I'm
the
amazed the
problem.
power doesn't get cut to my house right now, both of us. Like, you're almost going to have a missile strike come down on your GPS location from the Google thing.
Maybe.
Right? Because that's censorship. We got to shut the world down.
Alberta is the third largest oil producer in the world. Alberta.
I know.
Right? There's Saudi Arabia, Russia, and Alberta.
Yep.
And we're like, and you go, 2 provinces over, and we are the devil. No. We're getting it from Saudi Arabia.
When you have a government buy a pipeline, the government buys the pipeline to kill it, and you're like, what? It's insanity. And then you're like, and then you're a tinfoil head, and then you get suppressed on the internet because you're like, Bob, you're speaking your mind. Can't have an opinion.
The killer of all that conspiracy theory shit is you tell me which one's been wrong.
I know.
Like, there are current ones that are under debate, right? That we're like, we can't say one way or the other. But, like, you go back to like 4 or 5 years ago, and every single one of them has been proved to be accurate.
The stuff that we do and the things that happen in the world, I'm like, we'll allow. I'm watching the live stream of Johnny Depp, and he's got some trial going on where he beat his wife and all this bullshit, and the camera's like, do you see that hair in Johnny Depp's nose? Like, and then something like they're talking about some bullshit. Talking some bullshit. Oh, he's guilty as a motherfucker. Then you got the Ghislaine Maxwell lady that's Epstein's henchman. You've got world leaders raping children, and you're like, sorry, we're not, it's against their civil rights to allow the camera in the, we've noticed a new spot on Johnny Depp's cheek. There's a big debate on it right now.
Doesn't that tell you that?
Hold on. There's 17 million views right now on Twitter feed. Elon Musk has commented on it, and Johnny Depp's value just went up. But the Maxwell trial, we don't know who shot Jeffrey. The cameras at the FBI facility have worked flawlessly for 30 years. Epstein goes in, they don't work. What a load of bullshit.
You know the last 4 shootings, like Epstein, the Las Vegas, there's 2 more. The latest one in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the cameras are off.
Yeah. We can't, we're not allowed, we got to protect the people that are involved. And you're like, which world leader did you not want us to see?
Well, that's the killer about Justine Maxwell thing, is, like, they used all those famous musicians, they used their real names. So instead of it being Bob Baker, or instead of it being, jazzy Bobby B, or whatever my effing, rapper name is, it's Bob Baker molested 8 children, and nobody knows who Bob Baker is. But everybody knows who Jazzy B is, but they don't use that name because then it doesn't send off any fucking
Prince Andrew
signals,
fucked up though, didn't he? And you're like, Prince Andrew's like, he's like, I didn't know the girl. I'm like, the girl you're holding? I don't remember that picture being taken. Bob, you're like me.
Someday in my life, Turbo, I would say, I don't know Turbo. I've never talked to Turbo. What are you talking about? Don't associate me with him.
We did. That live video? I don't know. What? No. Not that guy.
That wasn't me. That's that digital technology they can use to make it look like me.
And then the best one, I think, in my entire life that I can remember watching on TV, Bill Clinton, when he steps up to the mic and he goes, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I'm like, didn't you get a gummer from her in the Oval Office? That's not sex. And I'm like,
that's not sex.
What?
Literally, that's exactly his defense. Wow.
I know. I just took a blowjob from her. That's not sex. Look at in the Bible when they're talking about what's there.
Listen, we all have women in our life, and we all know what constitutes sex. You know what I mean? There have been times in my life where sex is a glance. What are you looking at? Did you just have sex with that lady?
Yeah.
I just looked at her.
You're like, it was a little flirty moment. Then you got Bill Clinton. He's like, no, this is not
No.
what you think it is. Look at close the Secret Service. The Secret Service is just like this. He what? Can you imagine? So Bill Clinton just said,
that's nothing new for the Secret Service.
I know. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the cover up and the sweeped up shit that goes on? Like I look at what happens at my level with unions offering me money, with things that I see, with bribery, with the money I've seen change hands, and I'm like, now this is at some hillbilly bullshit level. We're dealing with hundreds of thousands, low level million, right? And then you watch this shit.
We're
like,
nobody. Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
When the government debt goes past $1 trillion, would you even notice a few billion missing? You're like,
nope.
Yeah.
That's the killer, right?
Nope.
Like it's so easy to hide.
Oh, look, hold on.
Multi-million.
Sheet. Bob Baker Plumbing just came up as a random GST audit. Bob, we'd like to talk to you about your expenditures. Now, you listed the hats that you are giving away as a nonprofit expense. Well, we've turned out that you owe $57 to the government. Here's your fine, your penalty, and all your bullshit. And you're like, didn't you guys just lose $127 billion last week? Like, you're like, well, we can't account for everything. And you're like, and you're on me you're up my ass for $57, or I labeled my work pants as wrong because I wrecked a suit on the job that you're doing?
Yeah.
Come on.
The fact that you should know that the monetary system and the tax system is a total joke over the last 2 years when they just print more money. Listen, we need to give everybody $60,000.
Yes.
So we're just going to print it.
Yep.
Wait, what? You're just going to give everybody that asks $50,000 or $60,000? Yeah.
Yeah.
Never. It's like we're like the guy that says money doesn't mean anything. Bill me whatever you bill me, and when you send them the $10,000 bill, he's like, "Dude, I got kids to feed. Like, what the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
I thought money didn't mean anything.
The transition of power, when they don't have any hot water or they got water sprayed out, Bob is the biggest asset they've ever met in their lives. Then Bob does it, he gets it going, then the $10,000 bill comes and he's Kaiser Sose, he's a fart in the wind. They're like, Bob who? Then Bob's got a phone for the money, and Bob's like, look at everybody in business. It's a challenging one. We talk about business, what to tell kids these days. Cash flow is king. And it doesn't mean cash paper. When you get done your work, bill your jobs and follow the money.
Oh, yeah.
Stay on your cash flow. You don't have money in the bank. You can't pay your bills, and the shitstorm starts because of that. Then you go down the credit hole. You're paying 20% on your interest for a client's job, and you're like, kill me now. Everybody's done it. Everybody has. You've gone into a line of credit because that guy that was going to pay you for the 50 houses he's doing, he's like, yeah, I'll give you the first 2 free. We've all been lied to, hey? Young in business, excited.
That's the killer. That's the biggest lie, right? Which I'm like, listen, you want to do one for free? Then do the first 9 full price.
That's right. Yep.
And then I'll give you the test. I have no problem giving you 1 free. It'll be the last one though.
Yep.
Not the first.
Yep. You need to make your profit margin off of the bounce, and it's like that's a challenging thing in business to understand what that is. Working with Rael, trying to get him to quote some of the jobs, and I'm like, holy shit, how'd you get that number? And I'm like, no. I said, this is how you quote this out, and I said, that's more than double. I said, you'd get laughed out of the room if you said that price, right? Because doesn't understand markup cost. I'm like, it's a challenge in business to understand where that sweet spot is. You'll get clients, you've done it. How much for that job? 50 grand. They're like, done. You're like, they say yes too fast. You know that you underquoted it.
Yeah, that's exactly right?
Yep.
Yes, you're like,
If they hum and haw, if you hum and haw, you're right in that way. If they say go fuck yourself, they laugh you out of the room, you'll know that you priced it too high.
Yeah.
It's usually when they say yes and they want you to sign the document and send it, you're like, oh, did I miss a page on the bid sheet? Happens to everybody.
We got a ton of comments in here. I obviously have not been paying attention to this.
I don't know. There's people that watch this. There's people that were watching. They were waiting for the boiler to blow up. Everybody's waiting for the crash at the Indy 500.
Dude, the best action is just seeing me swing a fucking sledgehammer over my head.
Oh yeah, I'm like, And then you see the chunk fall. I'm like, holy fuck, look at that. Oh my God. Wham, wham. I'm like, take the drain apart. And you look how it escalates, eh? And you're like, now hit around the drain. No problem. Then you're like, no, I got to disassemble the drain. And then you're like, oh, look, the pipe is melted? How in the...
Melted.
Yeah.
Melted. Fucking insane.
Who knows, right?
Insane.
Yeah. Anyway, it's pretty funny.
Insane.
There you go, Bob. We're cresting up on 3 hours. We got 13 minutes. It'll be the longest Instagram live in history. Bob figured out how to override the safety controls, and he's like, he's hitting the buttons.
At least I can account for my time. When they say, were you really there for 3.5 hours? I'm like, yeah, watch.
And I get to bill for my consultation fee. Ray's laughing right now. He's like, Ray's like,
send me a bill.
Cut the plug off. Fuck it. Just hard pipe the gas valve. I heard you could just put a jumper in between it. No control. Ray's right now spitting his coffee out or his tea. Now he's in Minnesota.
Well, I was gonna bring up a thing. Did you see Stray Dog Plumbing in here?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
He is going. So there's a guy that I work for up here that moved to Florida, and he's going to fix his shit in Florida right now.
Yep.
So
I remember the call.
Baker Plumbing is doing work in Florida right now. By Stray Dog Plumbing. So I don't know if he's there or what. He's probably messaged me, but I've been occupied.
I had a friend of mine ask me if I knew anybody. Awesome. Same program in Sacramento. Had a friend of mine call me up and say, "Hey, do you know anybody?" I'm like, "Actually, you know what? I do know a female plumber." And I'm like, "Call Bulldog."
Yeah,
it worked.
We're gonna let the one dry out, and then I'm just gonna whip over to West and steal some more igniters because that's where we store them from when we were working over there. And then I'm gonna come back and get those things up and going. Sound good? Thanks, Billy.
And those guys right now are looking at the death and destruction, and they're like, and the King of Comedy, they're fucking happy. They're happy. They're like, I can't.
Those maintenance guys love me.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They just the water is warming up and the water's back on, and they don't give a shit about anything else. They're like, holy fuck, that guy makes a big mess, but it's on. This is great. And you're like, I'm gonna go.
It's just billable hours for those boys. They're like,
I know.
We got something to do, and it'll take them a month.
Yep. Yeah, because they're like, big deal. You'll go throw a jumper line on, like say you'll put some pecs in there on that goddamn jumper. You just put it in. You're like, wow. You're like the room's above it'll hot water, and you're like, you'll be a rock star. I thought it was gonna be a nail or a screw, melted.
You'll have to watch. We'll do some thermal cam to find out what's going on with that boiler for sure.
No kidding. That's pretty cool. Maybe see if there's anything jammed in there.
That's weird. Super fucking weird.
How old is that building?
That hot.
10 years?
No, I did it. It's probably 15 years old. It was the first hotel
15.
I ever did.
Yeah, 15 years.
We did the ground floor, all the consultation, and then they fired me because I got somebody cheaper.
And then Bob's like,
I'm like, good.
Yeah, that's Aladdin.
Like,
Bob walks by and he shines the fucking sign in the front.
We'll be back.
Yep. Well, and then we get clients where we work like that, where they call, you go. If I was to get a call right now, I'd be like, I literally have coveralls sitting right there. I zip up and I'm out the door.
You're fireman, right? That's literally how it works.
Yep. The money's that good. I'll be splitting firewood, doing whatever, and I'll be like, okay, you just literally walk away from it.
Let's go.
So,
just go.
Yeah. I love it. Brilliant. Well, that's good times.
Well, I thank you for coming on live, man. That's awesome.
I know.
Fucking almost 3 hours.
I know. It's 9 minutes is 3 hours. That's got to be, like, if anybody, I'll say this. I'll give a turbo hat to anybody that's made it to the fucking 3 hour mark. I'm like, you send me your address. I'm like,
I'll throw in one of these, man. If you listen for the whole 3 hours.
I know shit. There's guys on here that are like, this is
great. This one. You pick your pick, man. I'll give it to you.
10,000 ohms? What did he do there? You're like, unfucking real. They're like, there's guys right now that are like, I've already had a shit. My wife came in, asked me what I was laughing at, and they're like, look, honey, this is some man bonding shit right now. We're in like a male-only club. And you're like, yeah, but Pipe Wencher's on. You're like, no. Service Wizard, he's been there the whole ride. It's like, guys are like.
The whole ride? Well, congratulations, brother.
Think you can fix it?
Send Send me your address.
Exactly. I'm like, you know what? There's hats and shirts and there's some stuff I sent out because I'm like, have you seen the Turbo Pottery division? I sent out. I've given all that shit away I made. I'm like, one guy's gonna open it up and he'd be like, "What the fuck?" And he'd be like, "Chinky, chinky, chinky." I'm like, I wrapped it up pretty well. I'm a plumber, not
It'll
a
be in a
packager.
million pieces.
Like, fuck. Well, he can figure out the turbo, crystals or whatever. So funny.
It's hard work getting that shit out, man. I'm so bad at it.
I know. Well, I go through waves of it.
Yeah.
You print up your stuff and then you're like,
I'll polish it and then you're done for a while and you send it all out and you're done for a while.
And with the with Instagram being kind of bitchy about stuff and shadow banning and stuff like that, I'm like, good God. Not gonna lie, I got 3 phone numbers at the pottery class session. When I went in, I thought I was gonna go in
for plumbing or for plumbing?
Plumbing, hard piping. Because I went in and I expected me and the girl. That was it. I expected me and the lady that was putting the class on. When I walked in, there was 10 women there, no men, and I'm like this. I now felt what it's like to be objectified as a woman because I'm like, they were looking at me and I'm like, there's a couple where you're like, I feel like I'm on like a menu. I was like,
loved every second of it.
Oh, I did. I was clenching and flexing and I'm like, oh, it was good. I was in a muscle shirt and I'm like, and the one girl's like just the slide across. I'm like, it was shameless. When you get our age, you don't even care anymore. Yep, it's ridiculous.
You want it or you do not. You just tell me if you want it. If you do,
yep.
You don't.
Well, and you know why? Because it's like cutting out the middleman. You just straight to the chase. No, we're too old to screw around anymore with the little, first base, second base. Like, here's my number. Come on over and stretch before you show up.
Stretch.
You're like, yes. Hey.
That's my new motto.
No harem.
Stretch before I show up.
Stretch before you
somebody just walked in.
Stretch before you show up. There's no women here. Where's the harem?
Oh.
Well, I thought someone was going to be doing dishes or make me some coffee, but I'm like, they never show up. God, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty funny.
Turbo.
I can be. Depends on who you are. It's like, well, this could go on for months. All right, go, Bob. Go get your parts. I'm like 3 hours. Jeez, in heaven. Hey, I feel like I helped you with the service call.
Yeah, send me the bill.
Yeah, no kidding. My consultation
come out.
fees.
Like I say, come on out and I'll buy you a steak. You know that.
I know. Like I said, I've tried to package it. I'll be out pretty quick, but brilliant, Bob. Too funny.
Amazing.
Along in the service call. Again, one more thing, the closing. If you can be one thing, just be real.
Just be real.
Just be real,
man. All
man.
anybody wants, man. Be real.
Don't be fake. I'm like, come on, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob.
I agree 100%.
Okay, man. I'll
be in touch.
Brother. Peace out.
Thanks, everybody.
3 hour live. I feel like I want to talk about belly button lint for 4 more minutes so that we crack the 3 hour mark. It's 11:55. Let's see. What do we ask Bob? Okay, let's ask.
Let's go for 3 hours.
Okay. What's the worst service call you think you could remember going on? Where you're like, you can't believe, like, you got shit in your mouth. What, like, the worst one? A boiler blew up?
I know it.
Okay. And Bob is right now like this. Worst one.
Yeah. Worst one I ever did. So we did some work at one of our First Nation reserves that's around the city. Had the contract for it for a long time. There was a daycare, which was basically a string of mobile homes that were all tied together, those mobile trailers. There was like 12 of them. And they ran all the plumbing underneath the mobile homes. And they had all that skirting stuff. So I get called because there's a sewer smell. It smells like shit. I'm like, okay, cool. When I get there, there's literally a river of poo. Can you not hear me anymore? Hello? Uh-oh. Did you touch something, Turbo?
Can you hear me now? I can't hear you, man. What did you touch? Nothing. I'm just about to give my story. What the hell? How does it go for 3 hours? No problem. I'm reconnecting my Bluetooth to see what happens. Can you hear me now? You cursed it, Rob. You cursed it. Bye. No sound for Turbo? Nobody can hear you, Turbo. Can you hear me? It's Turbo's in. You. It's you. It's you. Anyway, I'll finish that story so we can continue the freaking live. Right, for 3 full hours. I put on my monkey suit and my hazmat mask and army crawled 60 yards. Oh, here we go. Do. There we go.
Yes. Okay. We're still technically under the wire. I was still on. Could have been power. I've never talked for 3 hours on a live before. Ever. I can talk about shit for a long time. I'm like, okay,
maybe they finally, maybe the trolls at Instagram finally shut you off, man. They said, that's it.
What did we say? I said whore.
Whore.
Okay, back to the story. Full hazmat suit. Go.
Yeah. Full hazmat suit, 60 yards army crawl through maggots and shit. Come on, it's a daycare, by the way. Condoms. And you know those mobile trailers are only this freaking high.
Yeah.
So I'm literally dragging like this. It was before the beard.
Oh.
I had a little a garbage bag tied to my waist with all the fittings I was going to need, and my glue, my hacksaw, and then roll over. And of course, as you know, it doesn't matter how waterproof anything is, the water's going to find its way in. Yep. So I'm laying on my back, working on this crap. Wet.
That's not water, by the way. It's liquid.
That's not water. It's liquid.
Yeah.
My mask is fogging up because I'm working my ass off. Again, like I said at the beginning of this thing, that's one of those moments again where I'm like, I should have been the baby doctor.
Yep.
And examine vaginas all day.
Yep.
That's what I should be doing.
Gynecologist is better than that because they don't go to the doctor because they're healthy.
No.
Right? Like, right. You know what I mean? You're like, so what'd you see today? Well, honey, do you want to have sex? No. No, I don't.
No.
No, I'm not right for about a week. And I need therapy.
Yeah, right. But you got to go back every single day and look at the next one. Oh, yeah, man, that's really bad. So maybe that's not just a good thing. I don't know.
Well, and service plumbers, seen it all. Same thing. Crawled through where guys are like, where I'm working and guys are gagging when they're doing it. And I'm like, I've done the crawled through where I've gotten stuck in the crawl space, crawl down, and the one call I remember doing, which was a similar call, crawling through it in a blue suit taped up with tuck tape. I got the plumbing inspector, 73. He's still alive. He does the SLRD inspecting. He's the guy that's doing a job up the valley for us. He was there. We were both dressed in the blue suits, and I had to crawl into the crawl space with a camera and a waterproof case, and then I'm like opening it, and the cast iron broke like this under the crawl space it was $1 million claim. The guy downstairs is like this in the parkade going, yeah, and I'm like, I backed up. I'm like, you never do that. You never do that. And I'm like, the guy's in raw sewage, and I'm laughing, and I'm like, and I mean,
he's watched too many Hollywood movies where the actor's like,
oh yeah,
that's got salt in it. Yeah, dude.
Yes. I think, okay, so in my mind, the craziest job I ever did, where I'm like where there's two things where I've done some, and both for the district where I work. So the wastewater treatment plant has a 120,000 gallon lagoon storage facility of shit. And there's 4 of them, and they come in their lagoons. It's the wastewater treatment facility. So they've got this plastic chain with mahogany scum boards that take the grease off the top of it, yeah? So you've got down the side, it's an Olympic pool of shit. And there's pumps and agitators and all that stuff. And so there's a heating line, genius install, and it's under the walkway over top of this lagoon of shit. And I'm like, they're like, we got a heating problem. We're losing the water. It's fucking with our numbers because the hot water's going in with glycol and the chemicals, and it's a problem. And I'm like, okay, well, we just drain that tank. And they're like, we can't. The pump's broken on the other one. This stays running. And I'm like, we'll just get a duck boat. I'm like, I'll buy a boat. We'll put the boat in. We'll do the repair. He goes, well, the scum boards keep coming. We can't shut those off. I'm like, well, fuck. Because I'm like, I'll work in a duck boat full of shit. Yeah, and the guy's like, you can see these mahogany boards coming across, and they're plastic chain. It's the craziest thing. So I'm like, well, you guys aren't really. And I'm like, I'm looking around at my light above me, right? Like these things. And I'm like, okay, well, here's what we'll do. You've got a line right there. You've got a sprinkler line. I'm like, with a hook above it. And I said, how about we throw a cable over top of that, throw it to my back. So it was mission impossible. I chained a come along to the railing with a cable up, and I'm hanging off of it like this. I got a gas-powered Sawzall, and I got my feet up on the sidewall, and the scum boards are like this far off my ass, and they're going across. And I got this spark shower, and I used the REMS in-place shredder, the Amigo, and I bought it for that. I thread in, put a union on, and I'm over top of it, of shit. And I'm like, the guys are like, and I'm like, how do you fix it? And I'm like, you guys offer me no solution. We can't. And they're like, it's a problem now. And I'm like, and they were like, what if the cable breaks? I'm like, isn't this cable rated for 50,000 pounds and bullshit? And I'm like, okay, should I wear a life jacket? Like, is it gonna, because they're like, if you go in there, you're gonna die. I'm like, you gotta die of something. And the hospital's really close. So we had the workers watching me as I'm with this gas powered, and this was very in the start of my career. I was young, didn't give a shit. Now you look, you're like, something happens, you're done.
Something happens, you're done.
I've seen those pits empty, and I'm like, that goes a long way down, right? I mean, this stuff is like bungee jumping. If you knew the mechanics of it, you'd never jump off the bridge. The safety, the guys are like, we could pull a 747 with that cable knot. So you play your odds, but for me, that's probably one of the worst. I swam under a building once and pinched the water main live too with a dry suit on. Christmas, all the directors of the town around, and I swam under a townhouse complex, Montebello, and they were gonna have to shut off around 30,000 people, and I got the Wheeler X. Wheeler X portion is this part of the show. They've got a pinching tool that pinches the water line live, and I had just enough pipe sticking up. And you know what the guy did? When people fuck up, they fuck up in multiplicities. They didn't put the stainless steel thimble inside of the Mueller connection. They had to shut the complex down. They went through everything and refit. Because I'm like, where's the stainless steel thimble? It spit it. And I'm like, when I was in there swimming under the place, I took the 4-inch clean out off, and the water level went down really radically because I was underwater. I literally had this much. I was breathing in between the floor joists, and the guys were like, what? I'm like, too bad we didn't have a dry suit. This cleaner in the back that's 6'4" is like, I got a dry suit in my truck. I'm like, go get it. Will it fit me? He goes, not well. I've got pictures of me in the dry suit standing at the crawl space to go into it. They were like, wow. So those are, that shit. How many of those come around? Lots.
Not many. Not many.
Bob,
That's
we talked for
That's awesome.
3-hour service call. We were along for the whole show. Awesome.
3 hours. I'm going to go check my boilers.
Awesome, Bob. Love it. Anyway.
Love ya.
Bravo.
We'll
Love
chat
you, Talk soon.
Talk. Bye for now.
Free hacks to
Thanks
everybody.
for joining, everybody.
3 fucking hours.
Go get some work done. Go get some work done. Bye.
Hand step. Yeah. Okay, bye. Okay, cheers.
DM me. Okay, bye.